Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see what if Deku was in Fairy Tail and fell in love with Juvia. Part 2. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is Izuku Yagi the Ice Make Wizard by Armored Lord 1115. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. No one Pav. Hallway. It has been a few hours ever since Class 1A had their first hero class with the number 2 hero Ice Creator, or better known as Fullbuster. Things have went well in Grey, Ultier, Yukiko and Juvia match, and she was proud of them as that shows how much they worked hard for this, unlike Shoto, Shoka, Katsuki, Katsumi and Izumi, who had their parents helping them train from the age of 4, but they were bested by someone who had 5 years of training under his belt. Also had an encounter with All Might and Psychic, who had been watching the hero class and were not happy with planning to report her daughter and friends for not being hero material and threatened to leave the school, which would cause a scandal in the hero society in Japan as a whole, but wasn't fazed in the slightest, as she had one thing All Might didn't have, and that is proof to put his and his wife career to the sewer, and not even the Hero Association could save them from this. Was walking to the principal office to be met with Aizawa on the hallway. They kept some form of silence until Aizawa decided to break the ice. Aizawa, tiredly. How did they do for their first hero class? All of them did well except those 5. Aizawa, sigh in annoyance. Seriously, what was Nezu thinking letting them even stay at UA? I think they were given too much chances they don't even deserve. That's why I will recommend Nezu to transfer them to Shiketsu. It's used to be a military school but turned hero school, but they still retained the military discipline. Aizawa. Ponder for a moment before he smirked. That is a great idea. I know some of the teacher there and they are even worse than me. They even take pleasure in putting people like them in their place. Staff room. Arriving at the staff meeting room, they knocked on the door before coming inside to be with all the staff of UA except All Might and Psychic. Sigh, as they are late, she wondered every day how those 2 irresponsible airhead managed to get a position as a staff in UA. Nezu. Hello Urson, it's nice for you to join us. Thank you sir. Sat down in her seat, which was close to Principal Nezu, as she received a cup of coffee from Nezu, who had a smile on his face, which accepted with a smile before she took a sip from it, which made her relax. Nezu. Now Urson, tell us, how was your first experience as a teacher at UA? It was good aside from the fact I have to deal with 5 entitled brats. Nezu. Sigh. What did they do this time? Katsuki and Shoto have shown arrogance before the match as they claimed the fight against my son Grey easy. Shoto recklessly froze the entire building, which limited the sweat Katsuki produced, which made his explosion weaker, and if this was a real situation the bomb could have exploded, killing them along with everyone, or destroyed important files. There is also the fact that they underestimated their opponent, making them rush towards him with lack of plan while launching high-scale attack with the intention of badly injuring my son. Katsuki, on the other hand, after Grey single-handedly defeated Shoto, he used his gauntlet, which stored his sweat for 1 month at point blank, shaking the entire building. If I haven't trained Grey to withstand heat the likes of Endeavor, then I fear what could have happened to my son. There is also the fact that the explosion could have brought the building down, killing him and the hero, which is stupid. Nezu. Grit his teeth. Damn it. Now I have 2 students with attempt murder on my school. I don't think I will be able to let them stay much longer in this school with this kind of behavior. Aizawa. That's why they should be expelled. Nezu. I will be sure to do that, but please continue Urson. Then there is Izumi. She see this as just an exercise and is not treating it as a real test to learn from. She also had attempted a bet with my daughter Yukiko about if she won she get to have Grey back, and if she lost that we get to keep Grey. This outright pissed me and my daughter, as they still view my son as a property. Present Mike. That is not cool. Midnight. Honestly, what are they thinking? The audacity to claim someone as a property disgusts me. Nezu. She will also be taken care of now. Continue. Katsumi, similar to her brother, ran with anger in her eyes chasing my daughter Ultier and attempted an attack on her, but she got quickly beaten. That shows that she runs on her emotion. As for Shoka, she was arguably a little better, but she also sent a huge glacier towards Ultier with the intention of badly harming her. I am an ice user, so I know all types of ice. Snipe. I'd say we expel them all. Vlad. I don't know why they have been given chance to stay here at UA with that attitude. Nezu. Grit his teeth. The problem is All Might. He could cause an international problem and turn the world upside down on us. Cementos. Well, that is worrisome. He and his wife were watching the battle training. They thought they were sneaky, but I noticed them. They attempted to convince me to give them Gray back, but when I told them no, they tried to ask me to reprimand him for harming Katsuki and Shoto, which I fired back that they did the same. So he told me that I am showing favoritism, which I fired back that he was doing the same thing and that I am having them expelled. That didn't sit well with him and attempted to scare me by threatening to leave UA, which will cause scandal in Japan, and I basically told him to fuck himself. Nezu. That is rather a problem. Aizawa. I don't care about scandal as long as the media doesn't come here annoying us for an interview, then I am fine. Snipe. That is high likely for them to camp here and protest. Vlad. What are we going to do? I have an idea. If he is planning to turn the world against us, we can do the same thing. We have many proof to put him and his wife in jail and have their children blacklisted, and not even the Hero Commission could save them. Vlad. The problem is that All Might is the symbol of peace. He is the reason the crime rate is at all-time low. If we take him down, then we run the risk of the crime increasing. Nezu. I will have to agree with Vlad on this one. We have no choice. Either we do this and control a few things, or Gray will probably be the one to let it out, and believe me when I say this, he won't hold back at revealing top secret information like All Might's skinny form. His quirk property. Nothing will stop him from ruining their life, and he will do it in just a day. I might not have said this, but Izuku IQ can even compete with you, sir. Nezu. Shiver. Well, that is a problem, but fine, we will do this, but first we will give All Might and Psychic a warning about the information that we have on him that will shut him up, but if he pursue it, then I have no choice but to reveal it. Also about those 5, I suggest they'd be transferred to Shiketsu instead. Snipe. Shiketsu? Why? Vlad. Realize. Smirk. Oh. That is a great idea. Shiketsu was a former military school which was turned to hero school, but they still retained the old-fashioned military discipline that might be their only chance of redeeming themselves. Nezu. Laugh. That is a good idea. The principal of Shiketsu loves destroying people like the Bakugos and Todoroki's egos. Midnight. When is the process, Principal Nezu? Nezu. Pretty soon. We just have to make some calls to the principal, filling him on the details, sign papers, and bam, we're done. The staff have continued discussing with each other and were quite satisfied. Now they have countermeasures against All Might and Psychic threat, and they intend to go through it if the muscle head decided to go through his plan. No one Pav. Yesterday Gray, Ultier, Yukiko and Juvia had their first hero class under their mother, and they have dominated in their matches. All Might has threatened to leave UA when said that she will have his daughter along with her friends expelled for their violence nature towards their classmate, but that would soon backfire as UA have planned to reveal All Might crimes to the public if he decided to go through with it. Now we see Gray along with Yukiko, Ultier and Juvia walking through the UA gate, as he was met with a horde of paparazzi who wanted to get scope on how the symbol of peace All Might is like, as the female reporter shoved her microphone on Gray face. Female reporter, asked, "Hey you. Can you tell us what it's like to work so closely with All Might and Ice Creator?" Gray then looked towards the female reporter in annoyance, which made her shrink in fear under his gaze. Gray. All Might is an amateur when it comes to teaching. I don't even know why UA accepted someone like him who doesn't even have a teaching license, not to mention he was shown to do favoritism. On the other hand, the number 2 pro heroine Ice Creator has taught us well and made sure that our classes would be challenging and break our limits, while also making sure to not tolerate any misbehavior or violence. Gray then walked away as the female reporter was shocked, as having to hear a student call All Might an amateur was massive hit, not to mention that was a big time scope, as All Might was accepted to teach the next generation without even a teaching license. Uraraka was seen walking behind them as the female reporter shoved the mic towards the zero gravity girl. Female reporter. Are you one of All Might students? Tell us, what is the symbol of peace in person?
Uraraka flex her muscle. What's he like? Well, he is super muscly, yeah. The female reporter was disappointed with Uraraka rushing inside the UA door, giving a sigh of relief as the female reporter tried asking her more like assaulting another student, but it was a wrong move, as the one they had asked him the question was Tenya Iida. Female reporter. How is he faring as a teacher? What are you learning? Iida then started his speech. If I have to be honest, I haven't been taught under All Might, as he was the heroic teacher to Class 1B, although I've heard rumors that the UA staff doesn't trust All Might and Psychic to teach a class on their own. The female reporter was surprised once more as learning that the UA staff doesn't trust All Might and Psychic was unexpected, as everyone out there would trust their whole life to him and his wife, but that was new. They tried for the last time with a smile on their faces with a look of hope as they desperately shoved the mic onto Aizawa aka Eraserhead, who was visibly annoyed at them. Female reporter. Please sir, can you give All Might an ice tea for us? Also you look like a mess, what's your deal? Aizawa. All Might and Ice tea is not on campus today, now get out of here, you disturbed my students enough already. Some of the camera staff were getting away from Aizawa because of his look that screamed, I haven't slept for ages, which is true, but this time was not because his usual antic but because learning the truth yesterday weighted down on him, and the death of most of his students and comrades made him feel like a failure. Female reporter. But my viewers want to know how they are adjusting to their life as a teacher. Aizawa walked away clearly unfazed by the riot and the demands of those cockroaches as he smirked, the female reporter getting infuriated for not getting to have interview with All Might and Ice tea decided to step inside the gate. Female reporter. Alright, if you won't bring All Might and Ice tea out I will get him. Cameraman. No, hold on. The entrance of UA shut down with metal not allowing anybody to enter, although the female reporter almost got crushed by the door when she tried stepping inside. She of course, like any normal person, screamed in terror as she jumped back. Cameraman. Don't you know about the school defenses? This gate is the UA barrier. The female reporter looked at the cameraman in shock, clearly irritated that she almost got squashed a few moments ago because of the barrier. Female reporter. Defenses. It practically killed me. The cameraman pointed to the 3 red light about the gate. Cameraman. Yeah. Well, it's designed to stop anyone who doesn't have a student ID or special pass from entering the campus. Guess it works. Apparently there are security sensors like this all over the place. Female reporter huffs. Keeping the public out. This school thinks it's untouchable. The least they can do is grant me one interview. Cameraman. I know, right? We've been here for 2 days and I don't have a single comment on the record yet. The reporters were seen agreeing with each other, clearly annoyed that UA didn't even give them any interview with All Might, but they failed to notice the presence of yours truly Shigaraki Tamura, who stood wearing black shirt and black pant as he looked at the UA gate from far away with a smirk on his face, an entertained look as he heard the comment that Gray made, and he was definitely going to report it to his master. Class 1A. Aizawa. Decent work on yesterday on combat training, you guys. I saw the video feeds and went over each of your team's result. Katsuki, Katsumi, Shoto, Shoka and Izumi. Both Katsuki and Katsumi and Shoto looked at Aizawa in annoyance as they knew he will bash their head for their bad performance, while Shoka and Izumi were afraid. Aizawa. You 5 have greatly disappointed me. It seems you haven't learned from your mistakes. I don't need to remind you that you 5 are on thin ice, and honestly Nezu have plans for you 5 and it's not a good one at that. Now they were afraid as they knew despite Nezu being rat he can even do things worse. He could expel them and even blacklist them from all hero school, destroying their dream of ever becoming heroes, and that did leave a bad taste in their mouth. 5 of them. Yes sir. Aizawa was unfazed with the answer as the decision was already decided and they would be transferred to Shikatsu to be dealing with teacher that are 10x worse than even him, and that is telling something. On the other hand, Gray was smirking as he had an idea of what his uncle Nezu is planning and he is going to enjoy it. Aizawa. Let's get down to business. Our first task will decide your future. You all need to pick a class representative. Everyone tensed at first when Aizawa mentioned, decide your future, as everyone global thought was, not another quirk test, but when just said, pick a class representative, the class exploded into cheers. Everyone thought, oh good. Just normal school stuff. Hiroshima, throw his hand up and shout, pick me guys, I wanna be class representative. Kaminari. I will take it. Jiro. Yeah, you are gonna need me. Aoyama. Someone with style. Mina, throw her hands up, totally the right pick. The class was in chaos as everyone was shouting to get chosen for the position, although Gray, Yukiko, Ultir and Juvia remained silent, but we could see how annoyed they are towards their classmates shouting. They were interrupted of their thought as Iida made his entrance by shouting. Iida. Silence everyone please. The class representative's duties is to lead others. That's not just anyone can do. You must first have the trust of every student in the classroom. Therefore the most logical way to fill this position is democracy. We will hold an election to choose our leader. Iida then raised his hand higher as it started to shake because of how desperate he wanted to get chosen. Everyone thought, it's pretty obvious you want us to go through you. Kaminari. Is this really the best idea? Sue. We've only known each other a few days, how do we know who we can trust? Kirishima. Besides, everyone will just vote for themselves. Iida. Most people will, but that means whoever does receive multiple votes must truly be the most suitable person for the job. It's the best way, right, sir? He looks towards Aizawa as he see him sleeping with everyone sweat dropping at their teacher antics. Iida then coughs, due to Aizawa-sensei sleeping. We will go through my plan. Time skip to the result of vote. Election result. Gray Fullbuster 9. Ultier Fullbuster 7. Yukiko Fullbuster 6. Gray sigh as he knew he was in for a lot of annoying responsibility, but he didn't hate it as he get to order people around. Iida. 0 votes. I feared this might happen, but I can't argue with the system I chose. Sato. While you do his best to vote for yourself, right, what were you trying to prove here? Both Gray and Ultier walked in front of the board as Aizawa then stood up, not even unzipping the sleeping bag, and said in a bored tone since he expected the outcome. Aizawa. All right, the class representative is Gray and his deputy is Ultier. Gray and Ultier bows their head and thanked their classmate. Sue. This might not be so bad. Kirishima. Yeah, Gray and Ultier is logical, after all they are strong and smart. Cafeteria. Gray was seen sitting on a table along with Ultier, Yukiko and Juvia. Yukiko. Congratulations, you too. Gray. Thanks, I am surprised that you are not upset. Yukiko. Nah, I am not good at this kind of thing, and beside that's a lot of workload for me, but you both can handle it given that you both are smart. Ultier. Thank you, Yukiko. Juvia. Juvia is happy that Gray-sama is class president. The conversation was halted from continuing as the school alarm rang around the whole school. Alarm. Warning, level 3 security breach. All students please evacuate the building in orderly fashion. Hallway. Gray was clearly unfazed as he knew that he and his girlfriends are strong to handle themselves, not to mention their mother is in the school ground and she will probably take care of the threat, but they decided to look at the enemy. Yukiko then created Ice Eagle, which went towards the window to see the media with Aizawa and present Mike stopping them. Gray was pissed to say the least. Just now his lunch was ruined because of some stupid media who can't take no for an answer, and the students are acting disgracefully for UA students. In a fit of rage he froze the entire student to the neck, and it wasn't just some weak ice that could be broken easily, it was a powerful one. The students moved their neck to see the attacker and saw Gray, who had his demon mark activated. Random student 1. What the hell are you idiots doing? There is a level 3 breach and you are just chilling. Do you want us to die? Gray glared at them, making them shrink in fear as they realized that they pissed the wrong person. Some attempted to break the ice, but it was futile. Gray. Seriously, you people are supposed to be my upperclassmen, because I only see a bunch of cowards who, when a level 3 breach happened, made them beat each other up for the exit. Did any of you morons haven't been taught to check the window to see who is the attacker before you made yourself look like a bunch of clowns? Try looking at the window and tell me, what do you see? The student, although they were offended, looked through the window and dropped their head in shame as they saw it was the media who walked inside the school ground and are being handled by Aizawa and present Mike. Gray. Now then, if any of you have bothered to do that from the very start, then you wouldn't have disgraced yourself and UA, who was responsible to produce top-tier heroes like Ice Kriti, All Might, Psychic, Best Genist, Endeavor. Now then, look around you and see what you have done in your stupid stampede. The student looked around them to see some students who had black eye, broken nose, and some who had few ribs broken, and some who were already passed out. Gray. Is that how you treat each other? The moment you were faced against danger you started beating each other up. Now you added more work on Recovery Girl because you people failed to follow the rules that was instructed. Remember what the alarm said. Walk in orderly fashion. How do you people plan on becoming pro heroes with that kind of mindset? How do you expect to protect the civilians if when faced with a danger you would run away? Now then, I will unfreeze you all. You will grab the person injured next you and bring them to Recovery Girl, and do it in orderly fashion, understand? Everyone. Yes sir. Gray. Good. Gray then unfreeze everyone as they hurriedly grabbed the injured students and walked in order while looking in fear at Gray, who was watching them to make sure they don't do anything stupid again. After the area was cleared, Gray then sighed once more while being hugged by Ultier, Yukiko and Juvia, who had a smile on their face. Gray. Now I lost my appetite. Yukiko. Nice job, although I think you were a little hard on them. Ultir. No, he had every right to be angry and cruel with them. That's how a leader should be cruel, caring when the situation calls for it. How do you expect them to take you seriously if you are too forgiving? Juvia. Juvia think you were cool, Gray-sama. Gray. Thanks guys. With Aizawa. Aizawa sigh as he clearly annoyed at how he will have to deal with those lousy reporters. Female reporter. Damn it, all you have to do is give us All Might and Ice Cream. They're here somewhere. Male reporter. Just give us one good comment on record and we'll leave. Aizawa. I know how you people work, give you one and you demand another, now leave. Present mic. They are trespassing, we can use our quirk to kick them out. Aizawa. If you don't want your name dragged to the mud, I suggest you wait for the police. Luckily for Aizawa and Present mic, an angry was seen walking out of the school main building as the reporters were excited to interview the number 2 hero. Then glared at them harshly, making them shrink in fear. Angrily, now tell me what made you think that this was a good idea to walk inside a private property just for an interview? Female reporter, afraid, but, there's no but here, young lady, you have caused a panic attack among the students and many of them got hurt because you people didn't want to bother requesting an interview from Principal Nezu. We would have allowed it, but you people were too lazy to do that, and now you broken several law that could put you all in jail. The reporters were terrified as they realized they broke several law and are dealing with an angry number 2, and some were on the verge of fainting. Aizawa had a shit-eating grin while Present mic was in awe and opened his jacket to reveal a shirt which had her face and written in bold word, "Number 1 fan." You might forgive you people, but the next time something like this happened you will be thrown in jail, and I am sure none of you want that. Now then, I want you to turn around, walk outside and wait for the police to handle you people and interrogate you at who broke the UA gate, because this is a serious offense. The reporter nodded quickly in fear as they walked outside while dragging their unconscious friend outside UA, and by the time the police were there and started questioning everyone involvement to the UA barrier destroyed, while walked away before patting both Aizawa and Present mic's shoulder. Good job you two for handling the situation until I arrived. Principal office. The two nod before they walked behind her inside the school as they went to Principal Nezu's office to check the cameras and saw everything from Gray freezing the student to the neck to him berating them. Present mic. You know what they say, like mother, like son. Well, I am very proud of him for handling the situation better than the second and third years. Aizawa, shit-eating grin, I expect no less from my nephew. Recovery girl, sigh in relief, thank God he interfered or I would have had more students to heal, and also I expect a raise from this. Snipe, disappointed, I am honestly disappointed with how the second and third year handled the situation. I honestly believed that they will be the first to lead the first year to safety and instruct them because they had a year to 2 of experience. Aizawa. That's why I told you people that expulsion is needed. Nezu. No, that isn't needed. We will have to increase their training and also have them do an essay about how to handle evacuation situation. Cementos. I like the sound of that. 13. I would like to take over that task, Principal. Nezu. Very well then. 13 Well, pass through first to third year and teach them about rescue and evacuation process. Aizawa. TCH. Whatever, I have classes to attend. 12:50 p.m. in 1A classroom. Aizawa. Today's training will be a little different. You will have 3 instructors, me, Ice Cream, and another faculty member will be keeping tabs on you. Zero. Sir, what kind of training is this? Aizawa brought a paper that says, Rescue, lazily. Aizawa. Rescue, you will be dealing with natural disaster, shipwreck stuff like that. Kaminari. Disasters, huh? Sounds like we are in for a big workout. Mina. Totally. Kirishima. Real hero stuff. This is what separates the men for the boys. I am shaking with excitement. Sue. Finally I get to show how good I am in water. Ribbit. Aizawa. Guys, I am not finished yet. What you wearing in this exercise is up to you. I know you are excited about costumes, but keep in mind that you haven't got used to any of them and they might limit your abilities. This special training is an off-campus facility, so we will be taking a bus to get there. That's all. Start getting ready. Everyone stood up as they took their hero costume and went towards the changing room to change into them. Outside UA. We could see Gray, Ultir, Yukiko and Juvia wearing their hero costume as both Gray and Ultir were standing in front of the bus door along with their mother who was praising Gray for handling the situation, making him blush from embarrassment. Gray, seeing that it's time to move, then stepped in front. Gray. Now then everyone get inside the bus and sit wherever you want as long as it's in order. Iida, hand raised, shouldn't it be in seat number? Gray. Do I look like the type of person who care about seat number? We aren't in classroom, so stop wasting time and get inside. Iida. But, Gray. Iida, who is the class president, you or me? Iida. You. Gray. Then do as I say. If you have problem with how I lead the class, then go report it to Principal Nezu. I hardly care. Iida nodded before he got inside the bus along with the other students, while Aizawa had a shit-eating grin and was proud of Gray's performance, while was the same. Of course, when getting inside he saw the seat arrangement and started to sulk in a corner. Everyone got seated as the bus started to move to the USJ to start their training. No one paused. Gray was seen sitting in the bus that was leading them to the USJ facility. He was currently sitting next to Yukiko, Ultir and Juvia, while was seen next to Aizawa. Everyone was talking about their quirks and what they will possibly learn in the USJ. Suyu. Yagi, I always speak my mind, but your quirk, it's similar to All Might. Izumi heard this and couldn't help the cocky grin on her face, which was noticed by Aizawa, Gray, Ultir, Yukiko and Juvia, who had disgusted look towards her as they knew what she will say. Izumi, cocky tone, well, it's because he is my father. Su, shocked, you're All Might daughter. Kirishima, manly tear, that's so manly. I am jealous. My quirk isn't flashy as yours are Bakugos and Todorokis and Fullbusters. Izumi was going to say something horrible to the guy, which Gray knew full well, and he didn't want to give her the pleasure of putting someone down like she did for him. Gray. Then work hard. Kirishima. Sorry, I didn't hear you, bro. Gray. I said work hard. Your quirk can be both offensive and defensive. Many people would die for a quirk like that, so don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He is right, Kirishima. Your concern should be on how to improve yourself, not how flashy you can be. Kirishima, manly tear, thank you, Gray bro and Fullbuster sensei. Aizawa. Hey, we're here, stop messing around. Everyone. Yes, sir. Getting out of the bus, they were met with the Pro Hero 13 as Uraraka and Izumi were fangirling at having the Space Hero 13 in front of them. 13. Hello everyone, I have been waiting for you and I can't wait to show you inside. Everyone except Gray and his group, this is going to be so awesome. Walking inside the USJ, everyone was in awe at all the disaster ground that was created to train them in every situation. Kirishima. Holy crap, it looks like some kind of amusement park. 13. A shipwreck, a landslide, a fire, a windstorm etc. I created this training facility to prepare you to deal with different types of disasters. I call it the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, but you can call it USJ. Everyone thought, just like Universal Studio Japan. 13. Excellent. Before we begin, let me just say one thing, well, make it 2, think possibly 3, 4, 5. Everyone. We get it. 13. Listen carefully, I am sure you are aware that I have a powerful quirk. It's called Black Hole. I can use it to suck up anything and turn it into dust, but my quirk can also very easily be used to kill. Some of you also have a power that can be dangerous in our superhuman society. All quirks are certified and sternly regulated, so we often overlook how unsafe it can actually be. Please don't forget that. If you lose focus or make the wrong move, your powers can be deadly, even if you are trying to virtuous-like rescue someone. Thanks to Aizawa fitness test, you have a solid idea of your quirk's potential, and because of Ice Kriti combat training, you likely experienced how dangerous your powers can be when used against other people. Carry those lessons to this class. Today you are going to learn how to use your quirks to save people lives. You won't be using your powers to attack enemies or each other only to happen. After all, that's what being a hero is all about, ensuring the safety of others. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening. Gray, though, she probably is like that douche All Might, where she is all talk. Everyone applauded for 13 amazing pep talk as they cheered, but they were interrupted by a loud crash as they looked at the center of the USJ, or looked worriedly at Gray, Ultir, Yukiko and Juvia, as she could sense strong amount of dark magic from the dust. Aizawa then placed his Google quickly. Kirishima. Did training start or what? Aizawa. This is a villain attack, stay back. The dust then cleared as an evil chuckle escaped, revealing a tall, lean black-haired man which was tied in a ponytail holding a book. My, I have already found you. Her eyes scanned towards the book, and when she read the cover her face contorted into shock and horror. You are one of their followers. Aizawa. You know that guy. Well, it seems that he has told you a lot about me. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mardgear and I am one of the demon of the books of Zirf, and I came here to kill what little left of his family as a revenge. Everyone shout demon. Angry, like that will happen. Then rushed downstairs quickly as she created ice swords as she attempted to cut him down, but he then moved his hand, making a curse vine to appear, destroying the ice sword before launching her far away. Mardgear. Sadly for you, I am a demon from the books of Zirf, and the only way you can stand a chance that if you were a devil slayer like your brother. Before he could react, an ice shard rushed towards him, stabbing him, managing to damage him, making him cough blood. Gray, smirk, well, I guess I am your match because I am Devil Slayer. The mark then extended as it covered most of Gray body, making everybody amazed at Gray claim of being an ice devil slayer. Mardgear stood up with a smirk on his face as he patted his clothes. Mardgear. Well, I assume you are one of his offspring. Gray, smirk, well, if you are talking about my old man Silver Fullbuster, the former #1 hero Absolute Zero, then I am his son. I don't how strong I am compared to him, but I am sure as hell won't make it easy on you. Everyone was shocked that Gray was the son of the former #1 hero. They wondered how many #1 they will have to meet in the future, but that will be for another time. Shout Gray. Run, he is stronger than this. You haven't trained enough with your Devil Slayer power. Gray. Well, I won't let you get killed, Mom. So me, Ultir, Yukiko will be helping you, and it's not negotiable. Bit her lip. Damn it, you are just like your old man. Gray, smirk, well, I guess that is one thing I have in common with my old man. Are you ready, girls? Ultir, Yukiko and Juvia. Yes, Gray-sama. Aizawa wrapped his capture weapon around us as he was restraining us with his quirk activated. Most of the students have been forcibly evacuated. Aizawa. She said to leave it to her, she is a pro hero. Gray. I don't take orders from you, especially when my mother is in danger. Gray then froze the capture weapon, shocking Aizawa as he was erasing Gray quirk, but it didn't work. Gray freed himself as the capture weapon shattered into pieces as Gray jumped along with the girls as they came supporting their mother mentor. Smile, you kids are reckless. If we come out in peace then there will be punishment. Yukiko, smile, yeah, we understand. Mardgear. How futile of you, no matter how many people you bring that won't be enough to defeat me. Ultir. Funny, coming from the guy who got injured from an ice shard. Let's see if you can keep this claim for long. Mardgear. Yes indeed, come at me and prove to me how weak you are. I am gonna enjoy killing you all slowly. Like that will happen, Rosen Krona. The attack landed right on Mardgear as he came out a little injured, but he was still standing with the same smile on his face. Mardgear. I have to say, despite not being a Devil Slayer, you have some serious magic power. I can understand why you are the #2 pro hero in this human world. Gray was seen appearing behind Mardgear holding an ice sword made out of Devil Slayer magic as he attempted a slash, but Gray was wrapped by a vine as he was slammed on the ground. Yukiko. Ice make. Snow Dragon. A snow dragon attacked Mardgear, who was unfazed as the vines appeared once more, shattering the ice attack. Ultir. Keep your eyes on me, luminous minutes. A multiple arch of time balls rushed towards Mardgear with high speed as it continued increasing in number, hitting him all, but it was revealed that his curse vines were protecting him. Juvia. Water Nebula. The attack landed on him, but he was still fine. The 4 Fullbusters and Juvia launched all their attacks on Mardgear, who either received it and came out okay or dodged it and then attacked by launching them to all. Mardgear. This is so fun toying with you humans. Gray, tired and battered, don't get cocky bastard. Ice Demon. Zero long sword. This time Mardgear wasn't quick to dodge the attack as he was slashed to the chest before being encased in ice as he kept huffing and puffing for air, clearly tired from the amount of magic he exhausted in the fight. Gray. Did it get him? Battered, no. I don't think this is over, he was just toying with us. Surely enough, the ice shattered, revealing an enraged Mardgear who had a deep cut on his chest. Mardgear. You damn brat. You will regret this. I won't be holding back anymore. Mardgeir then transformed into his ethereous form as his magic power increased tenfold and the amount of bloodlust could be felt even outside to the students who were watching the fight, and those who was planning on rushing inside were paralyzed in fear. Mardgeir, ready to meet your end. He then rushed at Gray at incredible speed, but he was pushed away by her, who was grabbed by the face and dragged on the concrete as her children screamed her name in worry as her face became bruised up from the assault. Mardgeir, you were annoying. I will make sure you have a front row seat to see your children's death. Tried to move, but Mardgeir stomped on her as she fell on the ground once more, but Gray wouldn't let his mother be abused as he then created Ice Demon. Zero destruction bow, but Mardgeir flew up as he dodged the attack that was aimed at him. Gray. Damn bastard, why don't you just die already? Mardgeir. That won't be that simple, brat. You are 100 years early for you to fight me in this form. Look at you. The Demon Slayer form of yours is consuming you. You can't even use it to its fullest potential. Sadly for Mardgeir, he was interrupted by an ice garden that hit him, launching him to a wall that was as she made an ice make. Rose garden. Bloodied, you think you can take me down that easily, you fucking demon. Mardgeir came out extremely pissed with all the interruption he have been receiving non-stop. He then decided to pull one of his powerful spell, Memento Mori. Mardgeir angry, you have been a bunch of nuisance, I will kill you all at once. But before the attack could go through, a powerful ice arrow launched towards Mardgeir, hitting him in the stomach, piercing him. Mardgeir vomited a lot of blood as he looked towards a shocked Gray and knew who was the source. Mardgeir, shout, curse you. Now Marty, I told you to drop that habit, didn't I? The ice fog disappeared, revealing the man that was one thought to be dead, Silver Fullbuster, in all his glory as his armor shined brightly, showing the name on his chest plate, Absolute Zero. Silver. Sweet home. No one pav. Last time a powerful ice arrow pierced Mardgeir, making him vomit lots of blood. The mysterious person revealed himself to be none other than Silver Fullbuster, a father, a hero and a demon slayer. Mardgeir, shout, how did you know that I was after your family? I am sure I was careful in my plan. Silver, chuckle, I have my ways, Marty, so why not fight someone of your own size and leave my son and my sister out of this? Annoyed, took you long enough. Gray, smirk, hey old man, glad to see you standing, I thought you kicked the bucket early. Silver, laugh, sorry little sis, and it's nice to see you, Izuku. Gray. Stop right there, my name is Gray Fullbuster. Silver knew something happened with Inko and his suspicion was right, but right now he can't dwell on it as he have to keep his son, his sister and his nieces safe from Mardgeir, as he is powerful and regular demon slayer won't be enough to take him down. Silver. We will talk later, but I have a demon to slay. Mardgeir ripped the ice arrow from his chest as blood spew out of it. Luckily he had minor regeneration, which was enough to keep him alive for long, but Silver is not your everyday demon slayer. He had years of training and fighting experience. Silver. Are you ready, Marty? Ice Devil resentment. Silver magic increased before he looked towards Mardgeir, who stood up as he wiped the blood from his mouth, giving a smirk. Mardgeir. If you think you can take me down, then you are dead wrong, but I know you are not to be underestimated, Dia Yggdrasil. But before the thorns could even reach Silver, it was frozen in ice before being shattered into pieces, shocking everyone including Gray, who looked at his hand realizing the potential he possessed. Mardgeir, shocked, impossible. Silver, smirk, well it is possible all right. Silver then swing his hand to the right as he created Ice Devil Shiver, which sent a tunnel of ice towards Mardgeir at incredible speed, hitting him, injuring him even more as Mardgeir was on his last leg. Silver. Come on Marty, you are no fun, please make it entertaining for me. You can't die now after all you had fun messing with my son, sister and my nieces, so I simply want some payback. Mardgeir felt humiliated, but he knew he never stood a chance against Silver, and despite his pride as a demon from the books of Zirf, he knows when to pull away from a fight that could cost him his life as he spread his wings and tried to fly away from the USJ. Silver smirked as he saw the coward running behind his back, but he was not going to let him leave without killing him. It was his job. Silver. Where are you going, Marty? We still aren't done. Ice Devil Rage. Silver inhaled a lot of amount of ice as he then releases a large purple blizzard of cold air, ice and, seemingly, snow from their mouth, directing it towards Mardgeir, who was in air. The blizzard inflicted great damage upon Mardgeir, causing him to be unable to resist it, to be sent flying away with great force. Everyone looked at the aftermath of the powerful attack to see the ceiling destroyed, leaving behind a trail of destruction in its wake, heavily damaging the area it passes through. The dust settled, revealing nothing. The attack was powerful that it obliterated marred gear out of existence. Silver gave his signature smile as he looked towards Gray and smiled as Gray stood up and walked to his father as they hugged each other. It might have been awkward to hug the man you never knew, but it was because of him that he got to achieve his dream. He believed in him even if he was not physically with him all those years. Silver, tear up, it's so nice to see you again, son. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me for walking out on you. Gray. No need, Dad. I already knew the reason and I don't blame you. At least the demon dude didn't attack us when I was a kid, or it would have been a rather troublesome to say the least. Walked towards Silver as he was punched in the gut by her as he smiled weakly. Silver. I deserve that. Yeah, you fucking idiot, you have worried me so much, you owe me a lot. Silver. Understood. Ultir and Yukiko walked forwards as they bowed to their uncle and smiled. Yukiko. Hello uncle, it's me Yukiko Fullbuster. Ultir, hesitant, hello uncle, it's Ultir Fullbuster. Silver was shocked when he saw Ultir. He remembered her as he looked towards her for explanation. Gray found her and apparently they faked her death because they were interested in her high level of power and wanted to turn her into them. She thought at first that I abandoned her, but Gray cleared her misunderstanding. It was because of him that I get to have my daughter again. Gray. As long as you smile, Mom, then this is my reward. Silver. Mom. Gray. All will be explained when we are in a private area. Silver nodded as Juvia walked to the front. Juvia. Hello, my name is Juvia and I am Gray girlfriend. Silver smirked. So he got a girlfriend, huh? Atta boy, made me proud. Gray was embarrassed and hoped that his father won't learn that he was in a harem, but luck was not on his side. Poker face, he is also dating Ultir and Yukiko. He is such a player, I guess he inherited a lot from you. Silver, shocked, damn. My son is a player. Ahem. Sorry to interrupt this lovely reunion. Everyone looked to see pretty much an audience as Class 1A was seen inside along with the whole staff. Looking down he was met with Nezu as Silver smirked and Nezu grinned. Nezu. Who would have thought that the dead would come to see me? Welcome back, Silver. Silver. Nice to see you, Nezu. I hope you haven't went through your plan of world domination. Nezu. Postponed. Silver nodded as the staff launched everywhere to check if there is an enemy hiding but came empty-handed. Nezu. Where is the enemy? Silver, blankly, I killed him to the point he was disintegrate. All Might. What? That's a crime, you should be arrested. Silver froze All Might to the neck as All Might attempted to break out of the ice, but he couldn't even move a single muscle. All Might. What the hell is that thing made of? Snipe, shocked, he incapacitated All Might that easily. Nezu glared towards All Might, that is former #1 hero. Absolute Zero. He was on a private mission of great danger which was given to him by the Hero Commission. Vlad King, fanboy, I am a big fan of yours, sir. Silver. Thank you. The staff and students were shocked to see one of the teacher like Vlad fanboy. It was an incredible sight to see. Aizawa Bo, it is an honor to meet you, sir. I've heard a lot about you. It was a shame that you were out of the hero work for quite a long time, but I understand that you had a mission. Silver. Likewise, it's nice to meet you all here, but excuse me, I have a lot of catching to do with my son here. Everyone was shocked that Gray is the son of the former #1. Absolute Zero. Nezu was not surprised as he nodded his head in agreement. Nezu. Very well, then we will be watching the recording to see how the fight went and report it to the police forces, but I expect a report. Silver nodded as he then started walking, followed by Gray, Yukiko, Ultir and Juvia as they walked out of the USJ as they were met with Inko on a stretcher with nosebleed and heart-shaped eye. Silver, confused, what happened to her? Recovery girl, sigh, she walked inside, saw you and this happened. Silver. Oh, well, I am leaving. Silver was honestly creeped out as they walked to her home to talk and catch up. No one pav. We could see Silver Fullbuster seated on the couch as he was out of his armor and wearing irregular clothes. He was holding a cup of tea as he took a sip of it, calming his nerve down as he was currently being glared at by who was demanding answers and won't budge. The kids aren't helping him as they knew not to get on their mother bad side. Sweetly, so big brother Silver, are you going to tell me why did you leave suddenly without a warning and not even telling me about Gray being your son so I can be there for him much early in his childhood instead of having him to take all the shit from that slut psychic and that douche All Might? Silver. Come on little sis, I just came back, can't you be happy at least? Silver tried to keep his little sister anger as he knew how it feels to be on the end of her punishment. He knew that no matter how strong he is, female always find a way to subdue them. Gray. It's best you talk, Dad, you know as well as I do what mom punishment is like. As her eyes glowed as she was cracking her knuckles, managing to intimidate everyone in the room. Silver gulped. Yeah, that would be reasonable. Well, you see, the Hero Commission has dispatched me on this mission to infiltrate an organization that calls itself Tartaros and claim that they are demons from the books of Zerf. Luckily the commission didn't suspect anything as they thought it was the work of a quirk and told me since my magic work on them better then I have to infiltrate then eliminate if they pose too much danger, and the one you fought at the USJ is their leader as they want to revive their master, they call him END. The reason why I never told you is that it was sudden and I had a ship that takes me to their location so I didn't have the chance to say goodbye. Sigh, that's a good reason, but why didn't you tell me about Gray? Silver. Well, at the time you were coping with the supposed death of Altair, so I didn't want to tell you this since I was afraid that you'd think I was rubbing it on you. Although it wasn't a good reason, I understand your intention, so you are forgiven, but you owe me and Gray a lot for all the time lost. Silver. I intend to do that. Now tell me, son, what happened between you and Inko? Gray. Sigh. Inko, after assuming that you are dead, remarried a year later to the current #1 hero, All Might, the one you encased in ice, as she had a child with him, which would be Izumi Yagi, their daughter. So far he was a good father until the age of 4 where quirks appear. I was quirkless while she had Inko quirk, so you could expect what would happen. They neglected me, as they pretty much forgot that there is another person living with them. They prioritized Izumi over me as they praised her, resulting in her ego to increase tenfold, and when All Might revealed his identity of being the #1, her ego increased another tenfold as she knew that she will get away with anything as she is the #1 hero daughter. She of course bullied me along with her friends and all for a stupid reason to make me give up on being a hero just because they love me. I ended up meeting Mom at the age of 10 when I first awakened my Demon Slayer magic, and I asked her if I can become a hero. She of course told me I can and that she is willing to help me. Later I found your letter along with everything you left for me, which was hidden from me. I then spent the next 5 years getting evidence to have my custody transferred to Mom. Silver. Angry. What? How could she do this? The temperature dropped as he was pissed right now, especially at All Might. If he knew back then he would have crushed him in his ice. Silver. Why did Nezu allow them in UA? Gray. Wearing pants that will cause a scandal. All Might and Psychic joining UA was known for quite some time before I revealed the neglect, so if they negated the contract, well, you could expect the media to bash UA, as All Might will use his popularity to bury UA to the ground, so he didn't want to risk it. But as it stands, I've recommended Nezu to transfer Gray bullies to Shiketsu, where we hope they would be reformed, but sadly All Might have been spatting threats at us and how he will leave, which will cause a scandal, but we already have a backup plan, which is expose him for the crimes he committed. Silver. I will have a talk with the Public Hero Commission and they owe me a lot of favors, so if they refuse I will take the matter into my own hand. They have started a war with the wrong family and they will pay dearly for it, as you could have been pushed to suicide. Gray. Well, they did suicide bait me, but I never listened to them since I had Mom, Yukiko and Juvia and later Altair, so I am doing much more better than I used to be 6 years ago. Silver. Sigh in relief. Thank God. Don't worry, I am not going anywhere again. I will stay as a hero, but I won't be going for any mission again since I am getting old for this shit. Gray. Well, even if you did have a mission we would tie you down in the basement so you wouldn't go anywhere. Do you actually think you will run away from us again? Fat chance. Silver gulped. When did you get scary? Gray. Lessons from Mom is effective. Yukiko. Uncle, what kind of people you met in your mission? Silver. Well, I met a lot of people, but they all shared one thing: they are all psychos with weird trait. Like there is a person who love exploding cities, there is a psycho scientist who is obsessed with hot boys, there is one who likes to torture people, there is one who likes to steal soul. The story is big and too troublesome to tell. Altair. Well, you should tell us more often, Uncle Silver. Silver. I don't mind at all. Gray. Now that we are done interrogating Dad, let us go eat. Silver. Gray, what's up, you are naked. Gray looked down as he saw himself in his boxers as Juvia was seen spinning around in delight. Gray, shocked, crap. Don't mind him. When I started training him in ice make magic I had him run in only his boxers, and because he removed his clothes a lot it became a habit. Silver, pale, I just hope you don't do this outside. Don't worry, he is able to restrain himself outside the house. Silver. Good. Let's go eat, son. Silver placed his arm around Gray's shoulder as Gray did the same as they walked towards the table, laughing, leaving who was shaking her head in amusement. Walking in the kitchen, she was horrified of what she saw. Both father and son had the largest meat as they were trying to cut it, but the problem is they are using magic to do it, which isn't bad, but they are going to extreme length to cut a meat. Silver. Listen, son, this is how you cut a meat like a pro. Gray. Go, Dad. Silver then created an axe as he slashed the meat in half, but what he didn't take into account is the counter who split in half. Gray. Damn. Silver. Well, we will tell your mother that this was an accident, but moving aside, we need something strong. Gray. I have what we need, ice make, sledgehammer. Silver. Ooh, what a good idea, son. Before Gray launched his sledgehammer he kissed the ground as he looked behind him to see who had ominous aura as Silver tried to sneak away, but she pulled him by the collar as she encased her arm in ice before hitting him hard. Gray. Ow. Silver. Ow. Pissed, you two, who told you to cook? Look at what you two did, you split the damn counter in half. Silver. We can freeze it, after all, ice make have no limit. Gray. Nice one, Dad. They got bonked once more in the head as she glared at them before she sighed and laughed. Laughed, you two are impossible, but then again this house was getting boring without some action. We will leave the counter to get fixed later, but let's not make this a habit of destroying things. Gray and Silver. They then walked out of the kitchen, leaving to her devices as she smiled, seeing as the house will be more lively. She then looked through the window as she remember how lucky she is. She became Grey Mother, then Altier was found, then her brother is back and he hasn't lost his spirit. No one pav. We could see an enraged All Might sitting on his bed at home. Not many might know this, but All Might is a salty man who hold lots of grudges, but he hide it behind the smile that promised safety. Yesterday he was humiliated in the most worst way. Him, the symbol of peace, got defeated by a former #1 hero, someone who lost the title to him, but then again he was on a mission and he was inactive, but he doesn't want to admit that his OFA could be defeated by just a mere ice that he could just punch. There is also the fact that just his presence drove his wife to have a nosebleed. That was a massive hit in the pride, as pretty much having your wife get a nosebleed to another man was outrageous, but he forgave her as Inko is a beautiful woman and Izumi, his successor, would need her mother for her growth so she can take his position as the symbol of peace. There is also the last thing that ticked him off the most, Izumi Yagi along with her friend is being transferred to Shiketsu without his permission. He remembered the day before when the staff were reviewing the footage of the fight, which led to Nezu announcing his decision, with all the staff agreeing not one-sided with him except for Inko as she was his wife. Flashback. Aftermath of USJ. Meeting room. The staff of UA along with Tsukauchi reviewed the footage of the fight and were impressed with Gray, Altier, Yukiko and Juvia fought side by side with the #2 hero and considered giving them even more harsher training to ensure they are progressing as well. Tsukauchi, sigh, we don't have much information as Absolute Zero didn't leave a single dust of the enemy. All Might. That's why he should be arrested, it's a crime that he committed and I won't stand for it. Aizawa. Shut up, All Might. You are not one to talk about crimes as you have done something even worse than this. All Might stayed quiet as he knew that the staff won't forget his heinous action towards his stepson, while Inko cried as she knows she wronged her son. Nezu. Now then, I know you wanted information, but the Public Hero Safety Commission has made it his mission to eliminate them. Besides, I don't think the enemy would have complied with being arrested. We could only expect for him to report everything to us, that if he is allowed to do so. Tsukauchi. Principal Nezu, please excuse me, I will go check with Sanza to see if he finds something interesting. Nezu. Take your time, detective. The detective walked out of the room as the staff along with Nezu looked at both All Might and Psychic. Psychic, nervous, what's wrong? Nezu. All Might and Psychic, we have come to a decision that you should be informed about and it's not negotiable, so don't try to change the outcome because we won't. All Might. What happened? Aizawa, blunt, to be blunt with you two morons, we are transferring your daughter along with her friends to Shiketsu instead, as we staff can't take their bullshit anymore. We gave them chance to change and start a new leaf, but I think the fact that they joined UA made them believe they will get away with everything just because their friend, dad and mom are heroes. All Might and Psychic. What? All Might. You can't do that, you know more than anyone her potential along with her friend. Midnight. Potential or not, UA has zero tolerance for bullying, and you know that more than anyone. The reason why we left them and gave them a chance was because we wanted to see what they will do, but they broke it and we can't keep them in here knowing that they are only causing troubles for both the staff and students in general. Maybe Shiketsu will be able to tame them as they have military rules. Psychic. Can't we just give them one more chance? Nezu. No. We are already out of chances. If we wanted we could have had them blacklisted, but instead we decided to be nice and transfer them to Shiketsu where they will be forced to behave. All Might. Then I have no choice but to leave the school. I am sure you know what will happen if I do that. Snipe. We all know All Might and we hardly care, as we will tell the press the truth of you leaving and how you were playing favorite. All Might. We will see about that, and when that happens you will be begging of them to come back. All Might stood up as he was not smiling anymore, with Inko following behind him. As the staff didn't flinch, All Might walked out of the meeting room. Aizawa. Well, good, he was getting annoying really. Vlad. How he became a teacher without a teaching license is beyond me. Cementos. What are we going to do with that? You do realize that if he went through the threat that will cause a lot of problem for us. We got lucky that the students were unharmed in the USJ, but it still caused problem as some random villain got inside UA, which is said to be safe. Not to mention word got out that Gray, Ultier, Yukiko and Juvia fought with the number 2, although they praised them, but they also saw it as them being reckless and us being negligent of our duties as teacher. Nezu. We hardly care about what the media feel about the whole situation, and besides we have evidence to put All Might career to the sewer, so we are not afraid as we have recording to support our claim, especially the threat. Aizawa. Well, he won't be getting away from this. Also, if those media decide to pull the same stunt a few days ago, I will use my quirk on them and screw rules. You can't enter school property just to scope. Nezu. Also, we might have lost All Might, but we have something even better. Snipe. What is it, sir? Nezu. Absolute Zero will start his hero work tomorrow, not to mention he will become a staff at UA. He also have the qualification. Unlike All Might, they will of course train classes, but they will be more centered on Gray, Ultier, Yukiko, since they are ice user and will know how to handle their training far more better than us staff. Present Mike. Cool. A brother and sister duo, this will be dynamic. Aizawa. Annoyed. Quiet down, you are annoying, but I am glad that he is not the same as All Might, a guy full of pride and shit. Nezu laugh at how Aizawa described All Might as they sat down and talked about the sports festival. End of flashback. We return to All Might as he smirked evilly as he picked a phone and ringed a number. Hello, this is HeroTube Podcast, how can I help you? All Might. Ahahaha. I am here. All Might, it really is you. All Might laugh. Of course, I want to book an interview tomorrow morning if possible. Of course All Might, we will be honored to have you with us. How about 10 a.m.? All Might. That sound good with me. The call ended as the guy behind it was beaming in excitement as he told his boss, which got him a raise, as the whole camera crew and reporter were overjoyed. All Might on the other hand had a smirk on his face. All Might. Kicking my daughter, the next symbol of peace and her friends, is by far one your biggest and foolish mistake of the year. Nezu, expect to be hounded by the media, as I will be the one to bring down the famous UA to the ground. All Might then set an alarm for tomorrow as he had a smile on his face as he shut his eye quickly and slept quickly like a baby. No one pav. We could see All Might waking up after yesterday peaceful night as the clock rang. Pressing it slowly, he removed the cover of his bed. Looking next to him, he saw Inko sleeping as well, giving her a peck on the lips. He moved to taking a shower before placing his hero costume, who God knows when it was even washed. Buffing up, he stood outside the porch of his house taking a crouch position before he leapt in the air before landing in front of the studio where he gave his catchphrase when he saw the whole crew outside excited. All Might. I am here, landing on the ground like a hero. Everyone was amazed. It was really true. All Might has booked an interview with them as the manager came rushing out, coming face to face with All Might as he had an excited face. Manager. All Might, we are so glad and honored that you have come here to join us in this fine day. Please come inside. All Might, smiling, lead the way then. The news leaked out about All Might booking an interview and they were honestly excited as everyone had their television on the news channel. All Might was seen given a leather and comfy couch to sit on while the news reporter was seen sitting in a chair a little nervous that he will be interviewing the symbol of peace but he can't fail as to not paint a bad image to their industry. The news has started showing the face of the news reporter who held a smile. Reporter: Ladies and gentlemen, we Hero Tube come with an exciting news. Our guest of this talk show is none other than the symbol of peace, All Might. The camera shift to reveal the symbol of peace with his trademark smile. All Might: Thank you. Reporter: So All Might, we had many questions for quite so long, and that is, how are you faring as a UA staff and teacher? All Might eye glint, showing that he is going to enjoy ruining the reputation of UA, but he was unaware that the whole thing was set up by a cunning plan from Nezu. All Might be the symbol of peace, but he is still an idiot compared to Nezu, who has an IQ of 250. All Might: Yes, you see, I have noticed that the staff at UA has been showing major favoritism for certain people there, as they have 2 days ago transferred my daughter and her friends who had a lot of potential to Shiketsu as they deemed them unworthy of staying at UA. There is also the fact that in one of the hero training classes the number 2 hero has allowed one of the students to cause major harm to my daughter and her friends. Everyone hearing the podcast was outraged at UA. Some were making plan of withdrawing their children from there. Was getting major hate from the hero community as they saw her playing favoritism. Reporter: Frown: That is cruel. How dare UA treat the daughter of the symbol of peace so badly? I think that UA should be shut down. You think so? They looked at the screen as it showed static, revealing a smiling Principal Nezu who had a glint in his eyes as he was ready to bury All Might reputation to the ground. Reporter: Angry: Principal Nezu, what is the meaning of this? Hacking into our system is clear violation of the law. Nezu: I could care less. I came here to tell the truth of the reason why All Might daughter is being transferred to Shiketsu along with her friends, and we have proof to support it. You were reckless, All Might. You knew we had a lot of evidence and heinous crimes that you committed, but you still went through it, and you will pay for it dearly. Now everyone was curious when they heard the heinous crimes, and wondered what All Might did as they looked towards All Might to see him sweating in fear that made their interest peak. Nezu: Do you know that All Might had a stepson? Everyone was surprised. This was new. They knew he had a daughter, but a stepson they weren't told. Nezu: I am sure you are curious as to who the stepson and why he was not mentioned. Well, you see, the great symbol of peace neglected him for being quirkless, leaving him to survive on his own just because he didn't meet his expectation. All Might daughter along with her friends bullied and harassed him constantly and even went as far as to suicide bait him. He grew to have some trauma which was healed by his aunt, the number 2 hero, who later became his mother, as his former biological mother Psychic took part in the neglect. You might wonder why we even accepted his daughter and her friends and not blacklist them, and that is because All Might have been threatening us quite a lot. If you are not convinced, here is a recording. Nezu played a recording of where Nezu announced their decision to All Might, and the threat he gave, it went as far as to show how he was being the one to play favorite the whole time. Nezu: What a fucking hypocrite you are, All Might. You called us out for playing favorite, which is incorrect, but here you are playing favorite and not even condemn them for their behavior or even seek medical help from professional like we asked you to do. I also want to clear that the number 2 had no hand in anything that happened. You see, All Might daughter has been treating her half-brother as an object where they can throw him then get him back whenever they wanted, even despite his refusal to return to them. They thought they can fix 11 years of bullying and neglect, not to mention it was All Might daughter's friend that have used high dangerous attack in an enclosed area that we clearly told them that it was forbidden just to hurt the number 2 son for pity revenge, and because they refused to accept their loss and learn from it like the other students. Everyone by now was shocked. People were outraged that All Might would stoop so low. They looked towards All Might to see him gone. Apparently he jumped away from the studio, which confirmed them that what Nezu said was true. Everyone was demanding justice for Gray. Reporter: We greatly apologize, Principal Nezu, for coming to such conclusion, but can we know the young man that was neglected? Nezu: I would have loved giving you name, but he refused to come out himself since he doesn't want to be pitied, and aside from that he doesn't want to be known as All Might former stepson. Reporter: We won't pressure him. Here it is, folks. All Might is not who we thought he is. The Hero Association should take a lot of measures to punish All Might and Psychic for their crime, as the public won't stay quiet. The podcast ended as Nezu gave a smirk as he pulled the legendary Uno reverse on All Might. The people were in a shock at the news, but the most affected out of the people was the Quirkless Society and a certain blonde scientist with glasses along with her father who had a disappointed look. The news has become viral to the point that everyone has seen it and people started to go out in the street demanding justice. We could see in a nice house, All Might who was in his skinny form hiding under the cover with Inko who looked terrified as the light was shut down with only the TV opened revealing what was going out outside. Izumi was seen hyperventilating as she cursed her father idiocy as he screwed her, her friends and himself. With Gray we could see him laughing along with Silver. Was pissed that she was called out for being a bad teacher and bad hero, but when she was proven innocent by Principal Nezu she joined in the laugh as well. Silver laughed, what a legend, he always knew how to make things entertaining. Gray laughed, Nezu pulled the Uno reverse on All Might. Both Silver and Gray roared in laughter once more as they ate with and the others who also joined in the laugh as they watched All Might life hard work crumble in front of him rapidly. No one paused. Gray could be seen walking towards the school accompanied by his girlfriend. They were of course given a ride there by their father, Uncle Silver. Silver along with headed to their own different direction, with them going to the staff room and Gray going to the class. He stood in front of the door and opened it to reveal the whole class gossiping big time. Mina, did you hear All Might was driven to an early retirement? Kirishima, I heard, if the rumors are true then he is unmanly. Gray thought, well you look at that, even people like All Might despite how many he saved can't escape from punishment. That's what he gets for using his title to flaunt it in our faces. Gray took a seat. As he looked around him he could see the 5 missing seat and assumed either they got blacklisted from every hero school or they were simply transferred to Shiketsu instead, which I highly doubt they would accept such troublemakers, but he doesn't care, at least he was given peace and quiet. Aizawa set foot in the classroom and in an instant everyone found themselves sitting quietly, making Aizawa pleased. Aizawa, that's good, we are improving, but I am here to announce something of high importance. I am here to tell you that your fight isn't over yet. Everything went dead silent, nobody spoke as everyone looked in fear at Aizawa who held neutral expression. Gray along with Yukiko, Juvia and Altair were not fazed. They were told already about the sports festival. Aizawa, seeing that he got the reaction he wanted, his shit-eating grin appeared on his face. Aizawa, the sports festival is coming up. Everyone. A normal school event. Jiro, sir, is it wise to hold the sports festival after being literally attacked by villains? Aizawa, I hardly care, besides nobody here was injured thanks to the new number 1 hero Absolute Zero, Ice Kriti, along with 4 problem children who know themselves. Gray got a tick mark. He already hated that nickname, but he calmed down as Aizawa continued speaking. Aizawa, also the sports festival will take place in 2 weeks and the securities will be much tighter than it was before, so you have nothing to worry about. Besides, we need to show to the world that we aren't afraid of just a villain attack, that we could return to our daily life and adapt quickly. Now that is over, I am sure you are curious about the Bakugos, Todorokis and Yagi. Mina, to be honest sir, nobody even liked them to begin with. They were too much prideful and full of themselves. It was honestly awkward since they would use their parents' hero name to get away with everything or to mock us. Aizawa was not happy one bit and was glad that the decision was made already by Nezu. Aizawa, anyways, I want to inform you that they are expelled from UA, or more like transferred to Shiketsu, who were willing to take them in and discipline them. Sadly, we need as many heroes as we can get, so despite their attitude we have to put up with them, and the best school that can tame them are Shiketsu. Luckily Endeavor and his wife along with the Bakugo's parents were so supporting of the idea and were willing to cooperate with the school. They even apologized to anyone in the class that fell victim to their inflated ego. Kaminari, I guess Endeavor is not bad at all. Aizawa, now that is over. Class dismissed. Make sure to train well. Also, you have access to the gym facilities built in the school. Everyone. Yes sir. Aizawa left the classroom, leaving everyone to prepare their bags to depart as Gray opened the door to be faced with a horde of general students and 1B students. Gray, could you people move? You are blocking the exit. Iida, hand chop, what business do you have with our class? Shinso, I just wanted to see the amazing Class 1A that was said to have fought against a dangerous villain, but all I see are arrogant assholes. Don't get cocky, since you fought villains we could have done better than all of you. In fact, this is a declaration of war. Many of us wanted to join the hero course but we didn't have the right quirk. Gray anger flared up. A guy from General Study just came here to declare war. The room started getting cold as a mark spread onto his body. The students that were standing were in fear as they started shaking in their boot and were shivering from the cold. Gray, So let me get this straight, you came here blocked our exit just because of a villain attack and you call us arrogant assholes. Do you see us flaunt in your faces that we fought villains and survive? No, you don't see us do that. Also a piece of information, none of us fought the villain, it was mainly the number 2 hero Ice Kriti and the new number 1 hero Absolute Zero. Me and those 3 points at Yukiko, Ultir, Juvia. Did help, but we just only bought time for help to come. Besides, you talk a lot about how you could have done better than us, but right now you are shaking in your boots just from a bloodlust and cold, while the villain there have a bloodlust much worse than that. Beside, if you were the hotshot you made yourself to be, why are you not in the hero course? Just by looking at you I know that you are the type who has been complaining about how life is unfair. Do you think you are the only who suffered? Many of us here suffered some form of discrimination, so get lost. You don't interest me in the slightest, nor your stupid declaration of war. You are weak, you didn't even train your body. Iida. Gray, please be gentler with them, you are making our class a target. Gray. If all of them are like that douche in front of me who is all talk but no bark, then I have no reason to worry about anything. Come declare war when you have trained properly instead of sulking about how life is unfair. Tell me, is quirkless discrimination fair to you? Shinso. No, but what does that have to do with anything? Gray. You have a quirk, don't you? Shinso. Yes, of course. Gray. Those quirkless people are treated like the lowest of the low. Did you know that my quirk came at the age of 10-11, meaning I was quirkless and had first-hand experience? Every day I wished for a quirk, every day I wished to be acknowledged by everyone. Every day I wished not to bullied, neglected or suicide baited every time, but now my patience was rewarded and I have a quirk which I trained to earn it. That's the difference between you and me. I worked hard and diligently while you did absolutely nothing and are here to envy us for having being blessed with a quirk. All I see are ungrateful assholes who doesn't see how they are even lucky to be treated as a humans and not some pile of trash on the side of the road. Everyone was in deep silence, including Gray classmate. They never knew he had such a terrible childhood, and even Shinso regretted even calling them arrogant assholes. He had been called to have a villainous quirk, but it wasn't as the same degree as Gray. He could only step aside to leave Gray to walk away along with his girlfriend who were comforting him. Momo. Wow, I never knew quirkless people were treated that way. Jiro looked at her earphone jack. She was bullied at some point because of it, but it never went physical or to the same degree. She now realized how pathetic she was. She thought that her life was difficult, but now she realized that there are more people out there with difficult childhood. Hiroshima hardened his skin as he admires how strong his arm look. He remembered at some point he could only harden a small part of his skin, which wasn't enough to even make a dent in a tree. He remembered how much he trained and went through hardship to reach where he is right now. He looked at the empty door as he realized that Gray wasn't some guy full of himself like the Bakugos. Todorokis or Yagi. No, he trained himself to reach that level and was never complaining. It was at this moment a fire lit in everyone's eyes as everyone realized that their childhood is pathetic compared to Gray childhood, and that they will prove to the world that they made it here through their handwork and dedication. Behind the scenes was Aizawa, and Silver, who smirked but were sad at the same time. Look at him going at it again and lit the determination of everyone. Aizawa. His future is promising, that's for sure. Silver. I can't believe he went through a lot in his childhood. I feel like I disappointed him. No, you did not. He understand that you had your problems as well. Besides, you did more for him than his former family have ever done for him. Now let's go back. We have watched enough. Silver nodded as he followed her along with Aizawa, who looked behind him to watch his retreating students before he smirked. Aizawa thought maybe this year won't be boring as I thought. No one pav. It has been 2 weeks ever since the incident between the general course students. Gray have made sure to train his absolute hardest so he doesn't make himself a fool in front of everyone. Now we could see Gray in the changing room wearing his PE uniform, stretching himself and making sure everything was going quite well. Juvia was obviously clinging to Gray, leaving an amused Yukiko and Ultir, but they didn't mind. Hiroshima. Guys, we will have to agree that we should try and aim for the top. Everyone except Gray and his girlfriend. Yeah. Hiroshima. Gray bro, aren't you excited as well? Gray. Me, Ultir, Yukiko and Juvia are not like you people. There is no such thing as try. We will climb the top, that's for sure. Momo. Aren't you a little bit too overconfident? You shouldn't underestimate them. Gray. Who said I am underestimating them? The difference between try and I will is really big. To try means that you will do your best, but if pushed to a corner then you just did try, but when you say, you will, then that means that even when cornered you will do what you must to reach the top. That is the difference between us. It's all about mentality, and my mentality is that I would want to walk out here with a medal. Everyone were quiet. They looked at Gray and they could now see the difference between them. Most of them had settled on trying, but they never tried to step out of their comfort zone. They look at Gray with admiration. He might be cold and rude sometimes, but deep down he is quite a nice person, especially when they heard that he was quirkless for most of his life, so his attitude was justified to them. It was then that everyone was interrupted by the voice of Present Mike. Present Mike. Give it up to the class that survived a villain attack, Class 1A. They walked out as they saw the stand filled to the brim with all pro heroes and civilians alike, and they were being clapped loudly. Iida. I hope we are still able to give our best performances even though these eyes are watching us. I suppose it's just another aspect of being a hero we all have to learn to get used to. Kirishima. Present Mike sure to talk us a lot, kind of makes me feel nervous. Present Mike. The next class didn't have much screen time, but they are filled with talent. Welcome Hero Course Class 1B. The other courses were introduced, but they are irrelevant. Midnight was seen walking towards the stand wearing her rather revealing attire, making all the boys drool. Kirishima. Someone should talk to Mrs. Midnight about her choice of clothes. Kaminari. Mrs. Midnight costume should come with a warning. Tokiyami. How did she become a teacher at UA with that costume? Gray. Doesn't this woman have any sense of shame? Ultier Poker Face, ha. Like you're one to talk. We are lucky that mother had made sure to train you to stop stripping everywhere. The girls in the class madly blushed at that as they imagined Gray naked and they had to cover their nose from the nosebleed. Momo blushing, you can't be serious. Yukiko Poker Face, dead serious. He strip a lot, and also we found his clothes at random places. There is this one time when we found his clothes on top of a chandelier and he didn't even know how it got up there. Everyone was speechless and looked at Gray, who never looked at them. He doesn't want to admit that he really have a case of stripping issue. Midnight. Silence everyone, and for the student pledge is Gray Fullbuster. Gray walked lazily towards the podium, making everyone in the vicinity annoyed while the girls were shouting how cool he is. Was amused and Silver was laughing as he watched his son already building a fanbase full of girls. Gray. Well, let's get this over with. To be honest, I am not good with speeches, so I will make this as short as possible, and that is to give it your in all of this because you were representing your class in UA as a whole, so don't half-ass it if you really want to move to Class 1A or go to the hero course in general. And everyone was waiting in suspense as they waited for him to finish the speech as Gray gained a poker face. Gray Poker Face, I want to say good luck because most of you will really need it. Gray walked away and everyone was conflicted whether to feel insulted or to feel happy for the first part of the speech, and some started clapping admiring his spirit while a certain girl with bunny features had a wild grin. Mirko. I like this kid already. Gray gave his mic to Midnight, who took it gladly, not before giving him a wink which he disregarded it and went to his girlfriend with Juvia cheering in full force and apparently had a banner which says, Gray-sama is the best. Aizawa, who was watching, was grinning from ear to ear. He enjoyed how he lifted everyone's spirit in the first half but then told them good luck, which means that he tell them that no matter what they will lose. Midnight. Without a further ado, it's time for us to get started. This is where you began feeling the pain. The first game of the festival is obstacle course, where you will have to run around the stadium. Now all of courses should take their designated position. Everyone then headed towards the entrance of the obstacle course and they were squeezing each other to try and get out first. Gray and the girls were already at the entrance as they knew they had to take the advantage so they can head out first while they beat each other over the exit, which worked. Midnight, shout begin. Gray. Ice make. Floor. The ground started to be encased in ice as Gray started gliding on it while everyone was falling in their butts and scream in pain as Gray was not fazed nor cared about them in the slightest. He then looked on top of him to see Yukiko trying to gain speed at him by using one her spells, but Gray was trained better. As both of them increased their speed, reaching the rest of the group as they were on a standstill with each one trying to get the upper hand on the other, but they were met with 7 0-pointers. Gray spread his mark around his body, his hair going upward, making the fangirls scream even more. Present Mike. Whoa, it seems Gray Fullbuster is going into his super and awesome mode. Gray, mutter, Ice Devil, Rage. The attack was devastating as everyone who witnessed the attack were terrified as the attack obliterated everything that stood in its path. Everyone cheered wildly as most of the 7-0 pointers were obliterated and the rest were took care by Yukiko, Juvia and Ultir. Silver. He is doing pretty good job in his usage of Ice Demon Slayer. What did you train him? Silver. Nothing much. Pout as she knew she won't be able to receive answer from Silver, who just gave a smirk as he watched his son and niece's head to the second part of the exam. As Gray froze the rope and glided through it professionally, he got excited that he didn't notice that the top of his PE uniform was removed unconsciously and every female got a nosebleed and the guys were questioning if they are even straight to begin with. Present mic. Well, you look at that, it seems that Gray Fullbuster has lost his jacket. Gray looked down and saw that he was really missing the top of his jacket and freaked out. Gray. When did that happen? Aizawa. A warning for everyone, Gray has a case of stripping habit, so he would often lose a shirt, a short, you name it. Luckily in school he is a little bit restrained, but when he get excited he unconsciously remove anything that is in his way. Also, just as you guessed by his quirk, he loves cold. The audience didn't care much, especially the female population and the media, who were taking pictures like crazy of his godly physique. Uabami. I want him in my agency, he will become quite a good model. In another part of the stage we could see 3 people, and in the middle is a blonde kid who had a smile and looked like a Tintin ripoff. Mirio. It seems I am not the only one who tend to get naked. Najire, blushing. You both are alike, I think both of you are going to become good friends. Amajiki. Doesn't he feel embarrassed having camera taking pictures of him and people stare at him like a piece of meat? Just thinking about it makes me want to go home. Amajiki had his head to the wall as he tried avoiding the public eyes while Mirio was laughing and Najire was pouting but also smiling. Silver. He will never hear the end of it, he will probably be a victim just like me. Silver shuddered in fear as he was being patted by his younger sister who had amused look, since she remembered how he would often spend most of his time running from the crazy girls that were chasing him. Gray had finally reached the final phase of the exam, which was the minefield. Gray gave a smirk as he froze everything in front of him and glided through it like a pro. He doesn't want to waste his magic on complex ice structure, knowing that it is unnecessary. Gray was seen competing with both Ultir and Yukiko, but he was built physically better, so he was able to gain advantage and pass them as he reached the number 1 spot in the first game. As he stooped running, he wasn't even tired, not even the girls were tired as they were smiling. Gray had finally stood tall, showing his defined muscle, and it was too much for most of them as they passed out. Gray had an annoyed look as he had his hand in his pocket, which didn't seem as the right decision as the cameras started taking pictures by million, almost blinding him. Present mic. The first place winner ISSSSSS Gray Fullbuster from Class 1A, followed by the second place Ultir Fullbuster, and coming in third is Yukiko Fullbuster, and coming in fourth place is Juvia Loxer. Everyone started coming inside as they were panting. Some of the girls had decided to stare at Gray godly physique, which recharged them completely and made them feel like they could run one more time. Remember that time when Sanji was swapped with Nami body and they were running? He was feeling exhausted, but when he groped Nami he was able to run extremely fast. That is extremely hilarious. Present mic. Holy crap. It seems that the girls has gained some kind of boost by just looking at Gray Fullbuster godly physique. What has the world come to, people? Female pro heroine. Hey, I can't really blame them. Female pro heroine. Yeah, the kid is super hot, he could be a model. Ultir chuckle. How does it feel to be the center of attention? Gray. Nightmare. Juvia was hugging Gray arm to her breast as she was pouting. Juvia will save Gray Sama from her romantic rivals. Yukiko. You know we are sharing him, besides there could be even more than one girl involved by the end of the 3rd year. No one pav. The students have been given 30 minutes break between us to rest and regain their stamina, as they did have to run around the stadium, which was filled with all kinds of traps UA was able to get their hands on. Gray could be seen now in the cafeteria eating with Ultir, Yukiko and Juvia. They always liked to eat with each other and didn't want anyone with them, as they liked to talk about their own thing. Juvia. So what do you think the second game would be? Yukiko. I did watch last year's sports festival and it was cavalry battle. Gray. Nah, I don't think Nezu would make the same game each year. Ultir. But why did he repeat the obstacle course? Gray. Obstacle course I believe only serve for warming up the students. Yukiko. Well, that is logical. Kaminari was seen walking towards Grey Group as he had hid his intention quite well but not good enough. Kaminari. Hey guys, did you hear what Aizawa-sensei ordered? It's really crazy. Yukiko. What is it? Kaminari. That the girls in Class 1A should wear cheerleader outfit to service the audience. Gray had saw through him well. Everyone in the table figured out his intention. The guy thing was poking through his pants, not to mention he have been eyeing his girlfriend and that didn't sit well with him. Gray, quiet menacing tone, what a load of bullshit. You think we are idiots? I know your intention and that's why, bringing his hand together, I will teach you a lesson of trying to ridicule my girlfriends in front of the public for your fantasy. Ice make. Hammer. A giant hammer appeared in the air as everyone watched in amazement while Kaminari was pale as the hammer smashed into him, creating a crater underneath him and shook the building slightly. Iida. Fullbuster, why did you assault one of your classmate? Gray. Bring Aizawa-sensei. If he think that he pulls such a stunt in my watch, then he's dead wrong. Aizawa. I am already here, problem child. So what happened? Gray. Kaminari came here telling us that you ordered that the female classmate to wear cheerleader outfit to service the audience. Aizawa vein appeared in his head as he stared at the unconscious and bleeding Kaminari as he wrapped his capture gear around him as he looked towards Class 1A and other classes. Aizawa. I want to make it clear that I never gave Kaminari orders about the girls wearing cheerleader outfit. We already have cheerleaders from America. He will be dealt with and disqualified from the game. You have 10 minutes before the second game starts, so rest well. Aizawa left as Yaoyorozu fell in her knees along with the girls in relief as they almost fell victim to a pervert. They gave a thankful look towards Gray, who reported him, and each went and thanked him, which he waved them off and told them that he did what any aspiring hero should do. The break has continued uninterrupted as they stood up once Ectoplasm came and told them to head towards the stadium so Midnight could announce the second game. Just then Present Mic voice rung once more through the stadium. Present Mic. Hello everybody, I hope you ow. Apparently Aizawa got enough of Present Mic screaming and blowing everyone eardrums as he gave Present Mic a nasty elbow as he took the mic. Aizawa. Sorry about that. As was said, the break is over and those that advanced in the obstacle race will participate in the game that Midnight should be announcing. As for those who didn't win, will be in the stand reserved for their class. The classes started walking in as the crowd cheered once more, as having to wait 30 minutes for the next game to start was painful to some of those who were extremely excited and fans of the sports festival. Midnight walked towards the podium. Her glasses was placed in her head. Midnight. I hope you all haven't been waiting long, but we will be talking about the second game, but this time it will be different. The TV changed to reveal a city built by UA as the TV changed once more to show 4 flags scattered everywhere. Midnight. There is 4 flags that are currently scattered around the city by forming a team of 4, and it should be someone you could work well together. Your goal is to capture one at least and protect it till the end to guarantee your victory. You have 10 minutes to prepare. Momo mutter, so it's basically saving a hostage and keeping him safe. Midnight. That is correct, Yaoyorozu. Everyone was surprised as some started murmuring about why the game changed, but they couldn't say that they aren't excited to have some change for once. Team A. Gray Fullbuster, Yukiko Fullbuster, Ultir Fullbuster and Juvia Loxer. Team B. Momo Yaoyorozu, Tenya Iida, Fumikage Tokiyami and Okako Uraraka. Team C. Ajiro Kirishima, Mina Ishido, Hontasiro, Mei Hatsume. Team D. Yuga Aoyama, Hitoshi Shinso, Masharao Ojiro, Narengeki Shota. The team by the end of the 10 minutes were already picked. Everyone knew not to go against Team A, which consists with the top 4 in the race, and even the pros were excited to see them teaming up together as some had their eyes on them. Random student. As that team even allowed, they are all made up of the top 4. Midnight. I allow it. I did say to form a team you go well with, so if I take that from them then I am not being fair, but now I want you all to stand on entrance number 5, 6 to start the game of Find the Flag. Everyone stood in front of the gate. This time it was much bigger, so they were able to stand in group together. Some people like Kirishima and Tetsu were burning with excitement. Present Mic. So the game will be starting in the count of 3. Everyone were tense. The pros and civilians' eyes were glued to the entrance, ready to watch them take off. Present Mic. 2. Everyone was in a running position as their eyes were wandering to the others' competitors to ensure that they go out first without problem. Present Mic. 1. Quirks have been activated and some started to show facial expression from seriousness, smirking, grinning and smiling, and some didn't show any facial expression at all, like the resident mute girl Yui Kodai. Present mic. Go. Everyone rushed inside as Gray froze the entire ground, making a lot slip on the ground hard, with Juvia being on Gray's shoulder as they were skidding on the ice floor easily, as Gray, Altair and Yukiko are ice mage, so it was easy for them. Yukiko. I will scout the area. Yukiko created multiple ice eagle which took off in the air as they started scouting everything in the city, even inside the buildings itself. The students that slipped on gray ice were pissed as they stood up despite the ground being slippery. Present mic. Well, you look at that, it seems that Gray Fullbuster has managed to slow down the other competitors, truly a smart move. Yukiko. I found one of the flag, it's here, points at a small building being hidden by the tall buildings as Gray smirk. Gray. Well, that is smart of them, nobody will expect the flag to be hidden here. Gray decided to hide their traces as he brought his hand together, creating a giant wall hiding them so nobody will get idea as to where they went and decide to gang up on them. Gray. Ice make. Rampart. The crowd, seeing the giant ice wall, cheered loudly, with Present Mike cheering as well, like a child making Aizawa groan, but he was impressed with Gray. Nezu. He's quite smart, hiding himself and the team from the other students so they don't get idea where one of the flags are hiding. He sure is. Silver. You taught him well, little sister. Pride, humph. I am the number 2 hero after all. Back with Gray, he had gotten inside the building as they found the flag that they should keep guarding. Altair. We found the flag quickly, it has only been 5 minutes so far, meaning 15 minutes more and this game will be over. Juvia. Juvia think we should put traps. Gray. Good idea, Juvia. Gray and Yukiko started creating things with their ice make magic, with Gray creating cannons next to him and then went on to create a fishnet that he placed on top of the door and windows so when it is opened it falls and capture the person. Yukiko on the other hand created tigers out of ice which is guarding the doors as well and was made to attack when they could avoid the fishnet. Overall the entire place was secured. Gray. 10 minutes is left before this game ends. Gray then created comfortable chairs for all of them as they took a seat, staring everywhere. The windows have been already frozen, allowing nobody to see through it as well. The crowd that were watching the students saw what Gray team was doing and they cheered loudly at the level of badass that is displayed in front of them. Hero 1. I would have said that they are cocky, but after everything they displayed so far I don't doubt them. Hero 2. Not to mention they did rig the entire base with cannons, fishnet and those lion statues which I assume attack. Back with Gray we could see him seating talking with Altair, Yukiko and Juvia, but they were interrupted as the door was opened quickly as they looked at the intruder which was caught with the fishnet to see Hiryu Rin and Jirota Shishida, who used his beast quirk to break through the fishnet, but he put a little effort, but they were attacked by the ice tigers and the 2 cannonballs shot a rock to their stomach making them vomit blood before they fell unconscious. Gray then proceeded to freeze them and set them in a corner as they have captured them and got them out of the match. The audience were cheering loudly at the display of power that has shown that they started feeling bad for the 2 kids. Random guy. Nice try. Random women. Nice try. Everyone. Nice try. Silver. I forgot that the public can be quite. Nodded grimly, brutal. Nezu on the other hand was laughing as the staff looked at him incredulously as he just looked at them, not fazed, before he laughed again. Present mic. 2 minutes is left for the second game. Those that didn't get a flag were in panic mode as they looked everywhere hoping to find a flag or steal it, but everyone had only one thought, that they wouldn't run into the Fullbusters or they are as good as dead because they have no chance in hell of getting their flag. This continued for the duration of 2 minutes as Midnight slammed her whip on the ground as a buzzer went off signaling the end of the second game. Present mic. The second game is overrrrrrr. Those unfortunate enough to not get flag fell on the ground in disappointment as they have lost their chance to show off their strength. The 4 teams that managed to get qualified were the Team A, Team B, Team C, Team D. The students that were badly injured in the ruckus were immediately taken to Recovery Girl, but those who were able to stand headed towards the stadium as they stood battered. Some didn't have any injury, like Gray Team, Shinso. Midnight. Now the second game is over, with those teams being the one to proceed to the final game. For those who didn't win, don't worry, we had made a side games you can all participate in. Those that didn't win were in relief that they get to show their skills to the pro heroes and even increase their chances to get chosen for their intern. Midnight. Now we will be going for a short break of 30 minutes to construct the arena where we will be holding a 1v1 battle. The students can go for lunch break or rest to gain their energy back or get healed by our youthful hero, Recovery Girl. Everyone cheered as the students walked inside, with most of them going to Recovery Girl to get healed, but Gray and the girls decided to go see their parents, who, when opening the door of the staff room, they were greeted by Silver and hugging them all for a splendid performance. Silver. I got to say, son, that was downright badass what you just did in the building. Gray, smirk, I am your son after all. Now let's go eat together. Yukiko. That would be great, Mom. The big family headed towards a VIP cafeteria and ordered their food as they ate while talking about things they did and what they planned to do, and laughed the whole time as they waited for the announcement of the beginning of the 1v1 fight. No one pav. We could see the teams that have managed to pass the second part of the sports festival. Some were quite nervous and some were excited and some were proud to have gotten so far in the sports festival despite the ups and downs that they faced. Midnight was seen holding the microphone ready to announce how the first round of the 1v1 battle will go. Kirishima. Ah yeah, finally getting a chance to show what we're made of. I watched this finals every year and now I'm actually in them. Mina. So wait, is it always a tournament? Zero. The finals always a one-on-one competition, but they switch it up every time. Last year it was a sword foam fighting match. Midnight was seen lifting a lot, where the students get to pick their opponent in that matter, as she started speaking to the students. Midnight. Come closer and draw lots to see who you're up against, then enjoy the pleasure of the recreation game before we start. The 16 finalists have the option of participating in those activities or sitting out to prepare for battle. I'm sure you all want to conserve your stamina. I'll start with the first place team. Ojiro, raise hand. Excuse me, sorry, but I'm withdrawing. Everyone was shocked that Ojiro was ready to forfeit his place in the one-on-one matches as they looked at him, trying to figure out why he would throw it away like that. Iida. This is a rare chance for you to get scouted. Ojiro. It just wouldn't be right. I barely remember anything from the capture the flag battle until the very end of it. I think it was that guy's quirk. Gray glanced towards a young man with messy, indigo-colored hair that flares out in large tufts around his head and notably straight teeth. His eyes are purple with white pupils, and are thin and somewhat triangular in shape, pointing downward, with no visible eyelashes. They're usually half-closed, and he has very dark eye bags underneath them. Gray thought so that was his teammate, and he say he barely remember anything. Could it be some mind possession? No, he would have been in the hero course if that was the case. I will figure him out later. Gray. Are you sure you want to give up like this, Ojiro? I know that it's your pride that is in stake here, but make sure your pride doesn't hurt your future. Ojiro. I wish I could take advantage of it, but my conscience won't let me. Everyone gave their all in round 2, but I was just someone puppet. No way, I don't want to advance if I don't even know how I got here. It wouldn't be fair. Toru. You're making way too much of this. Just kill it in the finals and prove you should be here. Mina. Yeah, what she said. I didn't do much in the battle either. Yukiko. It's best if you don't pressure him. There would be no gain from it if his heart isn't in it. Altair. Also, like Gray said before, everyone is fighting here, and not only that, everyone pride is on the table. If he were to advance, he will feel ashamed and unworthy of reaching to the third part of the exam. It's best if you respect his decision. Shota, step up. Narangeki. Shota from class 1B. I think I should withdraw for the exact same reason. Regardless of how strong I am, this isn't how I wanted to get here. It would go against the value of the festival to advance without earning my spot. Kirishima. Manly tears. Listen to this, guys, they're so manly. Commentator box. Present mic. Well, now, here's another weird turn of event. Aizawa. We will have to see what Midnight have to say about all this. She's the one in charge. Aizawa then glanced at the area where the other staff member are located as they watched intensely on what is going to be Midnight decision for such a turn of event. Stage. Midnight. This sort of talk is incredible naive, my boys. That turns me on. Shota and Ojiro are withdrawn. Everyone thought, did she say turns her on? Aoyama. Don't worry, I'll win it for you. Midnight. Now let me see, we'll have to move up 2 students from the 5th place catch the flag team so we have enough contestant. Itsuka. Honestly, we barely did anything in the catch the flag, isn't that right, girls? You should chose from the group that kept fighting the whole time, Team Tetsu Tetsu. Tetsu, shocked Kendo. Itsuka. I'm not doing this as a favor, it's just fair. Tetsu. Seriously you guys, thank you. Midnight. Tetsu and Shiozaki has advanced to the finals. First round. Gray Fullbuster vs Hitoshi Shinso. Yukiko Fullbuster vs Honta Siro. Ultier Fullbuster vs Abara Shiozaki. Tenya Iida vs Mei Hatsume. Yuga Aoyama vs Mina Ashido. Fumikage Tokiyami vs Momo Yaoyorozu. Ajiro Kirishima vs Tetsu. Juvia Loxer vs Okako Uraraka. Gray looked at his opponent, which turned out to be the same person he gained interest in, and despite the little declaration of war last week, he didn't hold any ill intention against the guy he just hoped he had trained. Instead of complaining about how miserable his life, a hand was placed on his shoulder as he looked at Ojiro, who proceeded to ask him for a small meeting at one of the lockers. Locker room. Gray was seen sitting in front of Ojiro, who was a little nervous as he was speaking with Gray, who is usually cold to people, but the revelation of last time made him less worried that things might go wrong. Gray. So I assume you wanted to warn me about the Shinso guy quirk. I already have a guess to be some kind of mind possession or brainwash from how you worded out not remembering anything. Ojiro, nod, correct. I don't have really much proof, but all I could tell you is that he asked us a question, and that's the last thing I remember before I woken up when I made physical contact with another team. Gray. So it's some type of voice command type of quirk. Ojiro, nod, correct. So I wanted to tell you, given that you are facing against him, I know you don't like how I'm giving you information on him since you want to win on your own without help, but I just want you to win this for the both of us. Gray, smirk, of course I will win. Beside, I want him to understand that the hero profession is no joke either. The sports festival will be spreading quirk information on the students, so every person will try to counter his quirk. If he is a one-tail pony, then he won't survive in the hero industry for long. Ojiro, smile, I see. I just want to tell you thank you for inspiring me and everyone else to fight so we can earn our place. It's a shame I could earn my place with my own effort in the second match. Gray, smile, don't be hard on yourself, just learn from it so next year you won't be in the same position. Ojiro, nod. Before both Gray and Ojiro separated, not before giving each other a fist bump as Gray was ready, getting confirmation of the quirk. He already knew ways to counter his quirk. Arena. Present mic. Hey sports fans, are you ready? Cheers was the only thing that rung around the stadium as both heroes and civilian alike were excited more so to see how the Fullbusters would do in the matches. Present mic. You've been through hell to get here, but now it's time for the one-on-one tournament. Fire around the arena lit as Present mic was ready to announce the first match, which made everyone excited given who was the fighter. Present mic. The first match, the handsome and sexiest man who make woman go crazy with his rocking body, it's Gray Fullbuster from the hero course. Gray walked out of the hallways getting the reaction he expected, with cheers and fangirls screaming his name, making his father cringe at how Present mic introduced his son and how the people are reacting, which reminded him of his youth. As for her, she was laughing hysterically at how Gray is going to be a victim of fangirls. 1. Present mic versus sorry, but this guy hasn't really done anything to stand out yet. It's Hitoshi Shinso, from General Studies. Shinso walked out of the hallways, which is opposing that of Gray, as he rubbed the back of his head, not caring that he wasn't receiving the praise of the people, as last week was a wake-up call when he had made the declaration of war and he would finish this fight as quick as possible, knowing the danger Gray poses. Present mic. The rules are simple. Win by knocking your opponent out of the ring, immobilizing them, or getting them to say, "I give up." Bring the pain. We've got our good old recovery girl on standby. And fight dirty if you must. Ethics have no meaning here. Well, of course going for the kill is a no-no. You'll be disqualified, because a true hero's fist fly only when in pursuit of villains. Gray stared at Shinso. He had already figured out how he could cancel his quirk effect. It was quite obvious, as even Shinso himself unintentionally gave it away. The match had started with Shinso speaking. Shinso. This battle's going to test your strength of will and I intend to win, so are you ready? Gray Fullbuster. Gray. Yes, I am ready. What about you, Shinso? Are you really ready? Shinso. Got you. Gray. Got what exactly? Gray smirked as he saw the pale look of Shinso, who stepped back, surprised that his quirk didn't do anything, as he got slightly angry. Shinso. How you were supposed to be under my control. Gray. I already figured that your quirk work on weak-willed people, but if your opponent will is stronger than yours then your quirk is nothing. Gray then rushed at Shinso engaging on a hand-to-hand combat, and it was obvious that Gray was dominating, no question about it, as Gray give a kick to Shinso's stomach sending him barreling on the floor to close to the finish line for comfort. Gray, you really have a good quirk Shinso, and you don't know the potential that quirk you called villainous has to offer. You could do interrogation. Catch a villain without a fight, but you're the type we call a one-trick pony. If anything you should be better at hand-to-hand combat compared to me, considering that your quirk isn't battle-oriented, but you have none that shows that you are extremely reliant on your quirk to end the fight quickly. But here I am, your quirk unable to do anything to me. If that is the level you're at, then what makes you sure that you are ready to join the hero course? So far I haven't used my quirk. Shinso was surprised with what Gray had said to him. Most people had told him that his quirk was villainous and distanced themselves from him, but here he is, a former quirkless, beating him without using his quirk. He felt ashamed of himself that he let his arrogance get the better of him, raising his hand, seeing no point in continuing a futile battle, and gave up. Shinso, I give up. I have no chance at all in beating Fullbuster. Present mic. The winner is Gray Fullbuster and will proceed to the quarter-final round. The crowd cheered loudly at the awesome fight, although some were a little disappointed that they couldn't see the quirk in action but were satisfied. As for the heroes, some were impressed that there is some people who don't neglect training their hand-to-hand combat skills. Shinso stood up as Gray shaked his hand before he left, having a lot of things to think about before he could see himself worthy of becoming a hero. His attention was taken when he saw some of his classmates congratulating and praising him. Even heroes praised him. That's when Shinso declared that he is not going to lose the next time. Second fight, Yukiko Fullbuster vs Honta Zero. The match ended quickly despite zero effort, as Yukiko had used her ice make magic to create an ice make sword that resulted in her cutting any tape that came towards her and rushed towards Zero before she placed her palm on Zero's stomach before she used ice make Panther, which resulted in an Ice Panther to pass through Zero and come out from the opposite side. He was shocked before his eyes rolled to the back and passed out of the floor, with the Ice Panther shattering, leaving a passed out Zero, who was picked up by medical bot. The crowd cheered more than before at the display of power and the usage of sword in the fight, which earned her a lot of point from the heroes who had wrote her name immediately on a notepad hoping to recruit her into their agency. Although the most brutal thing that happened is how a kid had started chanting, "Nice try," with everyone following the kid example, as some cringed and give sympathy look for Zero, who was passed out. Second fight, Ultier Fullbuster vs Ibara Shiozaki. The fight was also something, as Ibara had tried to use her vines to capture Ultier, but that was easy said than done, as Ultier had grabbed the vines using her ice make magic. Shiozaki hair froze. Of course Shiozaki knew that was helpless battle and surrendered immediately, which made Ultier advance to the quarter-final round. The crowd cheered as well for Ultier as she looked at her proud mother and proud uncle with a smile as she walked away, hoping for a challenge in the quarter-final round. Last fight, Juvia Loxer vs Okako Uraraka. 4 other matches has went by as Tenya Iida was used by Mei Hatsume as a guinea pig to present her babies, as she put it, to the inventors and companies before she gave up when she had done, making Tenya Iida scream in agony as he was used. Yuga Aoyama lost terribly as had shot a few naval laser which didn't hit Mina, who was gliding on her acid before she delivered an uppercut to the French boy, who lost his pant when the acid landed on his pants. Fumikage Tokiyami won his match easily. It didn't even last a minute as he had sent Dark Shadow, who punched the shield created by Yaoyorozu, which managed to push her out of bounds, which made the recommended girl depressed. Ajiro Kirishima and Tetsu had tied together as they had punched each other at the same time, knocking each other out. It was then later decided they will do an arm wrestling to decide who will advance to the quarter-final round, and Kirishima won as he used the opportunity that Tetsu was unable to keep his steel form, which resulted in a crack in Tetsu's steel forearm. They then became friends as Kirishima offered a hand to Tetsu. The final match of the first round had started between Juvia Loxer vs Okako Uraraka. The fight was completely one-sided as Uraraka had rushed towards Juvia intending to touch her to activate her quirk, Zero Gravity, but sadly for Uraraka, Juvia could transform her body into a mass of water, which can render any physical assault ineffective. So Uraraka had ran through Juvia's body and fell on the ground face first before she desperately attempted to win the match as Juvia used Water Lock to trap Uraraka inside a large sphere of water. Seeing as there were no oxygen, Uraraka passed out before Juvia dispelled the water lock, declaring her as the winner of the final match and advanced to the quarter-final round. Now it was time for the quarterfinal round and the opponents were decided as the following. Now who will win and advance to the semifinal round? No one POV. Location. Stadium. Gray could be seen walking in the stadium hallways. He was obviously in deep thought as he had been thinking about the two first games of the sports festival. They were quite easy to say the least, and he was relieved that so far he had done well, including the first round of the 1v1 match, that if you could call it a fight to begin with, as he didn't need his magic to win it, but overall he has been giving good impression to the heroes. Well, if you call stripping in front of the world as a good thing. If anything, he couldn't help but shiver in fear at what will happen once the sports festival ends. He will be swarmed by fangirls from all over the country, maybe even the globe. Gray knew who his opponent is, and he is a believer in gender equality, so he has no qualm in beating a girl to a pulp. You could say what you want about him, but just because they are female doesn't give them some kind of immunity. Gray truly believed that some of the female population abuse that fact to get what they want, because to the world female are weak, and at one point they're made housewives, despite the fact that the female gender has proven that they're no pushover. With that thought in mind, Gray knew what he need to do in his second fight in the quarterfinal. He will give Yukiko a fight to remember. She might be his girlfriend, but even she would be disgusted with him if he even dared hold back on her, because Yukiko is a warrior, so if he treated her like a glass in front of the whole world, then he would be ashamed of himself for the rest of his life. Do you think you can fight her? Gray turned his head to see his father, Silver Fullbuster, the current #1 hero in Japan, leaning on the wall. His form was completely relaxed and had a smile on his face, yet his eyes showed seriousness, which Gray had picked on quickly and knew his father doesn't want to make him any more nervous. Gray. Yes, I can. I believe in gender equality, so personal feelings are aside. Silver. Laugh. I'm glad I am not the only one who believe in that. Well, I wanted to make sure that there were no hesitation or doubt before you enter the fight. Gray. Yukiko is a warrior. Before anything, I would be insulting her if I held back in our fight, especially in front of the whole world. You do know you could receive some backlash after this fight. Gray and Silver turned their head to see her. She was walking slowly with a smile on her face, yet she showed extreme worry for Gray's well-being because she knew how the public acts. Gray. I don't care about the backlash. Being a hero means that there will be some people who doesn't agree with your methods, so I'm ready because I know I have my family in my corner. Smile. Yes, we are always going to be by your side, Gray, so give my daughter a good fight. Silver. Show the world what you and Yukiko can do. Gray nodded his head with a smile on his face, realizing that he is never alone this time around. He have a family and a school behind his back supporting him till the very end. The family chat was ended with Present Mike voice ringing around the stadium, signaling the start of the quarterfinal. Present Mike. Now let the quarter finale begin. Gray heard the loud announcement of Present Mike as he looked back at his parents, with Silver giving him a quick thumbs up while mouthing, "Good luck." As for her, she gave him a quick hug while rubbing his back to soothe Gray's slight nervousness before Gray picked himself up properly and walked towards the entrance, his head held high. No one POV. Location. Arena. Present Mike. Now for our first match is the Ice Prince, who managed to capture the hearts of many girls and had displayed raw power. Gray Fullbuster. Cheers were heard around the stadium, and by now there were banners with Gray face as they squealed in delight as they saw Gray walk to the arena stoically, but inside he was slightly disturbed with how far the female population could go to have a go at him. Present Mike. In the right, a prince can't be there without having his lovely ice princess by his side, a girl who had dominated her match elegantly, Yukiko Fullbuster. Yukiko walked into the arena with a smile on her face as the male population cheered for her, some even confessing, which annoyed Gray greatly, but he kept a calm demeanor, not wanting to show how he want to kill the said person. Yukiko, who was now standing face to face with her boyfriend, she was smiling but also serious. Gray knew she was serious and won't hold back as well. Midnight, who was standing at the side as the two couples stared at each other, their expression turned serious and their body becoming slightly tense, showing that both fighters are battle ready both physically and mentally, which put some edge around the stadium. Midnight. Are both fighters ready? Midnight was looking between the two fighters and even she had a serious expression. Both fighters didn't even bat her an eye, but she knew they were focused on each other, trying to find an opening which could decide the battle. Gray. I was born ready. Yukiko. So do I. Midnight. Now then, let's not delay this any further, but let the first match in the quarterfinal begin. Yukiko quickly extended her hand forward towards Gray while saying, "Ice make." Eagle, which resulted in multiple ice eagles to rush towards Gray. Gray reacting quickly then put his hand together before saying ice make. Shield resulting in a large shield to appear, but to Gray's surprise the ice eagles created by Yukiko had bypassed the shield that was created before they landed, slamming into Gray, who could only cross his arm together in hopes to minimize the damage. The audience were in awe as they watched as Gray proceeded to quickly put both hands on the ground while saying, ice make. Geyser, which resulted in the ground in front of them to become ice and creates a single tower of ice spikes that locked Yukiko. It then shattered, revealing a slightly injured Yukiko, but not much to hinder her. Gray didn't relent there. He didn't want to give Yukiko the opportunity to recover from his attack, in which he used to jump in the air, putting his hand together for an ice make hammer, which resulted in a giant ice hammer to crash into Yukiko before it shattered, revealing the form of Yukiko, who was battered but smiling nonetheless. No one POV. Location: Class 1A stand. Kaminari worried, don't you think that he's going too far? Jiro then used her earphones to ear rape Kaminari as she looked in disgust towards the perverted male along with the other female classmates. Jiro: be quiet, you damn pervert. Kaminari: ow, you're still angry for that harmless prank. Jiro ear rape him once more as she glared at him along with the other girls of the class in a way to tell him, talk again and we will cut what makes you a man, which was enough to shut Kaminari down. Ultier: boys like you will never understand that you're insulting me and my sister. Juvia: how dare they boo my beloved Gray-sama. No one POV. Location: audience. A portion of the audience didn't seem to take this nicely, seeing as Gray is hurting Yukiko to that extent. The majority of them were the fanbase of Yukiko, who were simping on her, and some of those feminist. Random guy: I can't watch this. Male hero extra: hey, are you a hero? Why are you doing this to a girl? Why don't you finish her off already? Female hero extra: yeah, you heard the guy. It was then that the portion of the audience started booing Gray, who didn't even flinch for 1 second, while Yukiko was pissed that the audience would go this far just because Gray treated her as a warrior. It pissed her off that people think she's that fragile. As for some of the most experienced heroes, which include Mirko, Endeavor, Yukio, Big 3 and other heroes, were looking in disgust towards their fellow heroes who would boo a child for showing respect to his opponent. Shut the fuck up. The entire crowd was silenced very quickly as the booming voice of Silver was heard as he had grabbed the mic. Clear anger and frustration could be seen on his face, and the people were afraid, seeing the number one displeased. Silver: this isn't a fucking kindergarten. You're currently watching two promising UA students who are giving it their all in this fight for their own dreams, yet all you people did was degrade Gray for showing his respect towards Yukiko by giving it his all in this fight, just like Yukiko is giving it her all in this fight. This is a matter of pride and none of you have the right to interfere. Also, for the heroes who had participated in such a disgraceful act should consider finding another job. Hero work is for people who are willing to put their life on the line to fight villains. If you think that villains out there will play fair in their fight, then you're sadly mistaken. Because villains don't care if you are a female, male, child, elderly people. They will hurt and even kill you. I, as the number 2 hero, find it very insulting that people think that the female population are weak, and for the other female heroes who had agreed to this should be ashamed of themselves. The audience were quiet. Some had started feeling quite ashamed of themselves. They thought that Gray was taking it too far in a friendly festival like the sports festival, but realizing that they were basically spitting on Yukiko pride as a warrior made them even more ashamed. Aizawa: where is the man who started this uproar? The pro hero who turned out to be a male around his 20s. Eye locked with Aizawa, who didn't hide his glare towards the man, making him slightly uncomfortable. Aizawa: are you a pro? Because if you're being serious, you can go home and hang up your cape. The audience was shocked once more at the bluntness of Aizawa towards the pro hero, as not even both number 1 and number 2 hero was that blunt or cruel. Aizawa: I'd suggest looking into another career. Just like both number 1 hero and number 2 hero said, Gray Fullbuster is being fierce towards his opponent as an acknowledgement of his opponent's strength. He knows she deserved to have made it this far, so he's making sure he does whatever it takes to keep her at bay and come out on top. No one POV. Location: arena. Yukiko: sorry, Gray. I expected that outcome and I don't care about what they feel. Yukiko then smiled as she put her one hand in front of her to create an ice make snow dragon, which resulted in a large ice dragon to appear behind Yukiko before it danced around only to grab Gray from its mouth and crash him in the ground. Yukiko didn't stop there as she rushed behind Gray, putting one hand up to create Ice Make Snow Tiger, which resulted in a large ice tiger to rush at Gray in an attempt to bite him, but Gray was much quicker and with his great reflex jumped upward in an acrobatic way. Gray then put his hand together to create Ice Make Prison, which resulted in a large cage made out of ice to appear encasing the snow tiger inside it. Gray didn't stop there as he used Yukiko's surprised expression to put Ice Make Cannon to create a cannon purely made of ice before he pushed the trigger, which resulted in a ball of ice to rush towards Yukiko, overwhelming her as she was knocked out of the arena. The audience were quiet before they started clapping, and then cheers started engulfing the stadium as people started showing their appreciation to the two students for their amazing performance, as Gray ignored them, instead walked towards Yukiko, who had a smile on her face as Gray lifted her up bridal style and walked inside to the infirmary so she can get treated. Present mic. Amazing. The winner of this first match in the quarterfinal is the Ice Prince, Gray Fullbuster. Cheers and squeal from Gray fanbase could be heard from miles away, which made Gray shudder slightly, but he was happy to say the least. No one pav. Location. Recovery Girl office. Smooch. We could see Recovery Girl lips extend to kiss both Yukiko and Gray in their cheeks, which resulted in the two of them to be engulfed in green light. Gray. Is she okay? Recovery Girl. She will be okay, Sunny, she just needs some rest, after all she exhausted her energy in that fight. Gray. I'm relieved. Recovery Girl. Just know you did the best thing for her, so ignore the audience, they tend to act nuts whenever things don't go their way. Gray. I already knew the consequences when I entered the arena and I was prepared for it, I don't really care about people's opinion on me. Recovery Girl. Good to hear. Now you should see your classmate and don't do anything serious until your next match, since you did get injured. Gray. Nod. I will, thank you. Recovery Girl. You're welcome, Sunny. Now here, take some gummies. Recovery Girl then placed in Gray hand multiple gummies, which he chalked it inside his mouth before swallowing it, feeling a little much better than before as he walked out of the office. No one pav. Location. Class 1A stand. Gray started walking towards his class stand, where he walked inside to be met with his classmates' face shoved into his personal space, which included Mina and Kirishima, in which he grabbed their faces and threw them to the side. Mina. Ow, you sure don't know how to treat a girl. Gray. I believe in gender equality, so just because you're a girl doesn't give you immunity, besides you're shoving your face in my personal space. 1. Kirishima. Manly tears. Fullbuster, bro, that was so manly. Toru tried to approach Gray, but Juvia eye turned red as she grabbed Toru head, shoving it to the side before Juvia jumped into Gray arms, who accepted it before smashing her lips with Gray lips in a quick kiss. Juvia, heart eyes. Gray Sama, you were amazing. Toru, annoyed. Ow. What was that for Juvia? Juvia, glare. Shut up, love rival. Toru, puff her cheeks, while Gray is handsome, I am only into Ojiro. Ojiro, blush. What? Toru, realizing what she said, started blushing before suddenly Mina stood up, rushing at great speed at her best friend with a predator gaze. Mina. Ooh, is my love senses deceiving me, or is my best girl Toru in love with our resident tail boy? Toru. Oh, shut up. Toru then ran out of the stand in embarrassment while the other boys were congratulating the blushing mess Ojiro, who then fainted. Altair then walked towards Gray, hugging him as well before pecking him on the lips, making some of the girls jealous. Altair. Good match, Gray. Thank you for giving my little sister a good fight. Gray. Happy to help. Altair. Now cheer me on. Gray. I will, babe. Altair then walked outside along with Iida to prepare for their fight between each other. Obviously Iida was not really confident in winning, but his pride is also in the line. Gray then took a seat in one of the many chairs in the stand, with Juvia choosing to sit in his lap to cuddle in his chest, which Gray didn't mind as he had wrapped his arm around her waist to pull her closer to him. No one pav. Location. Arena. Present mic. The previous fight was downright epic, and for those who are worried about our students' health, they are doing fine with few injuries. The audience were quite relieved that there were no serious injuries, and they realized that they have over-exaggerated, but now they had another match to see and it was quite promising to say the least. Present mic. Now for the second match in the quarterfinal, we have on the left we have the Princess of Time Altair Milkovich, and on the right we have Mr. Stick with Rules Iida Tenya. Ouch. Present Mike had received an elbow to the stomach from Aizawa for his biased commentary towards one of his students as both fighters were now standing face to face. Iida. I wish you the best of lucks, my friend. Ultir. I could say the same thing, Iida, so may the best win. Iida. Agreed. Midnight. Now let the second match begin. Iida then rushed towards Ultir with great speed, which took Ultir off guard, as Iida, being the gentleman he is, started pushing her towards the end of the arena, which pissed off Ultir, seeing as he doesn't take her seriously and is trying to end the match. So she then brought one of her orbs to create infinite sphere, which resulted in the orbs to hit Iida in the stomach, which pushed him away from Ultir and halted his progress, but it didn't stop there, as the orbs that hit his stomach then vastly multiplied, striking Iida multiple times from every angle, which was enough time for Ultir to kick him out of the arena. Present Mike. Winner is Ultir Fullbuster. The audience cheered loudly at the display of power, as some were quite on edge when Iida was close to throwing her out of bonds and winning the match. Ultir then glanced towards Iida, who was already out of bonds. Clear disdain was shown on her face, showing how displeased she is, which Iida knew why. Ultir. The reason why you lost, Iida, is because you didn't take me seriously. You tried to end the match quickly through non-violent way, and while it's really noble that you wouldn't want to harm a lady, but it's also a weakness and an insult to my pride. Ultir then walked away, leaving bots to come and pick Iida away from the arena and to recovery girl office. Now there is only 2 matches left to conclude the quarterfinal. No one POV. Location. Arena. Gray could be seen resting on the private balcony of Class 1A. He had been leaning his head comfortably at the chair, while Juvia was seen straddling him, despite the rest of the female of both Class 1A and Class 1B ire. Yukiko and Ultir were amused, to say the least, as they both had taken a seat in both sides of Gray. The quarterfinal was coming to an end, as there were 2 matches left before the semifinals are declared. That's why we could see Present Mike ready to present the 2 fighters of the third match in the quarterfinal. Present Mike. Now let's start the third round of the quarterfinal. We have on our left the Acid Queen of Class 1A, Minaa Ashido. Mina, being who she is, glided her way into the arena using her acid on her foot before she jumped in the air, spinning around with a smile on her face before she landed on the arena with both her hand raised up, secreting acid, and just like expected, the crowd cheered at the amazing entrance, and heroes seemed to give the pink hair girl points for her amazing agility, which were rare to find these days around. Present Mike. So cool. Now on to our right we have our Dark Prince of Class 1A, Fumikage Tokiyami. Tokiyami walked in with the crowd cheering for the boy as Dark Shadow appeared, giving thumbs up and cheering as well. Tokiyami. Revelry in the dark. Both Tokiyami and Mina could be seen staring at each other, with Tokiyami being the one who was more mentally battle ready, while Mina seemed to be goofing off and more relaxed. No one POV. Location. Class 1A stand. In the 1A stand we could see the students watching with great interest at how the match will turn out. Many people seemed to be rooting for Mina due to her superior agility and acrobat that she had demonstrated, and other rooted for Tokiyami to win the match. Jiro. It's hard to know who will win this. Momo. Yeah, Ashido is quite agile, but Tokiyami is still one of our strongest classmate. Gray. Tokiyami will win this. Toru. Why that? Gray. Don't get me wrong, Ashido is quite skilled with her usage of quirk, and her agility would definitely give her an edge in battle, but Tokiyami will just simply overpower her before she could even come close to Tokiyami to do any significant damage. Beside, look closely at both Tokiyami and Ashido and tell me what you see. Class 1A looked at both of the fighters. Some were unaware of what Gray was trying to convey, and some had started reaching a conclusion, but the answer came from Yukiko herself. Yukiko. Ashido-san seemed to be taking this fight as a mere game. Her stance is way too relaxed for someone who was going to fight, and she seemed to be glancing constantly at the crowd while Tokiyami is watching Ashido every movement, and I bet he is already formulating plan on how to get over Ashido agility. Momo nod. In a sense, Tokiyami-san is battle ready compared to Ashido-san. Class 1A seemed to understand where Gray was coming from as they looked back the 2 fighters. No one POV. Location. Arena. Midnight then looked at both fighters as she sighed, seeing Mina being distracted by the crowd while Tokiyami was quite ready for the match. Midnight. Are both fighters ready? Mina was broken out of her stupor as he glanced at Tokiyami, and she was intimidated to say the least, which was understandable given that Tokiyami was quite strong, even competing in the top 10 in the class. Tokiyami. I was born ready. Mina. I'm ready as well. Midnight, seeing as the two fighters are now ready, she then raised her whip before slamming it in the ground, signifying the start of the third match. Midnight. Start. Without wasting any time, Tokiyami jumped back, gaining some distance from Mina herself, and as quickly as he landed on the ground he summoned Dark Shadow to attack Mina. Tokiyami. Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow. Got it. Dark Shadow rushed towards Mina, who started panicking as she started throwing ball of acid towards the incoming Dark Shadow, who skillfully and easily avoided the acid, which put even more pressure on the pink-skinned girl. Mina then tried to create two balls of acid from both her hands, but Dark Shadow didn't let her as he hit her hand, which disrupted Mina's attack and pushed her close to the finish line before she fell on her butt at the end of the line, signifying that she lost the match. Midnight then pointed her whip towards Mina Ashido and Tokiyami with a smile on her face as she concluded the third match of the quarterfinal. Midnight. Ashido is out of bounds. Tokiyami wins. The crowd cheered loudly as Tokiyami stood tall and proud, although with a hint of disappointment, as the match ended quickly in just a single attack by Dark Shadow. No 1 POV. Location. Class 1A stand. Kaminari. He won in an instant. 2. Tsuyu. Tokiyami's Dark Shadow is amazing. The rest of Class 1A was a little at awe at how the fight had ended so quickly, and those who were cheering for Mina were quite disappointed, to say the least. Gray. Ashido isn't built to take hits from Dark Shadow. She was outmatched, but she could have won if she had kept a level head in the entire fight. Tsuyu. How so, Fullbusterson? Gray. Ashido could have used her acid to glide her way towards Tokiyami and attacked him instead of trying to overpower Dark Shadow, because let's face it, she's not strong enough to fight Dark Shadow. Iida. I have to agree with you, friend. Iida then started shaking, which freaked most of Class 1A before he took out his phone from his pocket, assuring everybody that it was just a phone call before he left inside to take the call. Gray. Anyways, Juvia, your fight is coming. Juvia. Cheer for me, Gray-sama. Gray. Sure thing, just do your best. Juvia nodded happily as she stood up, ready to head to her battle against Kirishima, who seemed to be equally excited to fight as well. No 1 POV. Location. Arena. Present mic. Now for the final match in the quarterfinal, we have on our right the Water Queen of Class 1A, Juvia Loxer. Juvia walked in with a smile on her face as she was glancing at Gray, who seemed to be cheering for her. Obviously the crowd cheered for her as well. Present mic. We have on our left our manly rock boy of Class 1A, Eijiro Kirishima. Kirishima walked in sulking for being rock boy, which the crowd seemed to laugh at. Present mic introduction of Kirishima. Kirishima mutter, no fair, why does she get a manly introduction? No 1 POV. Location. Class 1A stand. Okako. I think Juvia-chan is going to win this match. Note. I really noticed that I forgot about Okako existence, sorry for Uraraka fans. Tsuyu. I agree with Okako-chan on this one. Kaminari. Nah, she's good and all, but Kirishima will run through her easily. Ojiro. I may not be the smartest, but Loxerson is going to win this. Kirishima is strong, but his attacks won't work because Loxerson can either keep the fight from a long distance, and let's not forget she can turn her body into water. Sato. Nod. I agree. Kirishima and I are the type who take the fight to the person, but that doesn't apply to Loxerson since she can easily swat him away. Kaminari was about to whine, but just a glare from Gray. Yukiko, Ultier and the females of Class 1A. He sat quietly grumbling. Gray. Kirishima is not one for tactics. He is the type who charge into a fight and try to bulldoze through everything, which is good and bad at the same time. Zero. What are you trying to say by that? Ultier. What he is trying to say is that Kirishima will definitely try to bulldoze his way through Juvia water, which will end in many scenarios. 1. He will exhaust himself and won't be able to maintain his hardening form. 2. He will be trapped into a water similar to how Uraraka's fight ended. 3. He will be swatted away by a water and pushed out of bounds. Yukiko. In a sense it's a hopeless fight because Kirishima can't hurt her physically since she can just turn her body into water. No 1 POV. Location. Arena. Similar to how all matches has went, Midnight could be seen observing the two fighters who were obviously battle ready, and Midnight was quite impressed that Juvia is not trying to take a glance at Gray, which she understood as the girl wanting to impress her boyfriend. Kirishima was obviously ready, but she could see in his eyes that he was slightly hesitant, which she sighed. she doesn't blame Kirishima but rather blame the system and the girls that had made themselves look weak. Midnight. Are both fighters ready? Juvia didn't take her eyes from Kirishima as she was serious in defeating the resident Class 1A manly boy. Kirishima. I was born ready. Juvia. I will end this quickly. Kirishima smirked, confident are we. Juvia smirked, this is for my beloved Gray-sama. Kirishima seemed to cry some manly tears at seeing his classmate devotion towards Gray along with Midnight, who seemed to get aroused from the comment that Juvia did. Midnight thought youth is such a beautiful thing. Getting her beating. Midnight then raised her whip before slamming it in the ground, signifying the start of the third match. Midnight. Start. Just like expected, Kirishima rushed towards Juvia, body hardening as he took Juvia off guard before he tried to land a gut punch towards her, but to his surprise and everyone's surprise his fist went through her, leaving water in place of Juvia missing body part, which showed that she had activated water body, which essentially made her body turn into water. Juvia, seeing Kirishima taken off guard, she used this chance that he was close to her to release her attack. Juvia. Water claw. Juvia then covered her hand into water before she slashed it towards Kirishima, who was taken off guard. The attack had created a torrent of water that engulfs Kirishima that had sent him almost to the finish line, but he managed to roll away on the ground, quickly avoiding being defeated. Juvia didn't stop there as she started to transform her hands into something that made Kaminari wince in pain as he touched his ass and back before he prayed for his friend, as right now Juvia was forming a water whip out of her hands which seemed to make Kirishima pale. Juvia. Water cane modified. The whip wrapped around Kirishima legs before she swung her arm before releasing the hold on Kirishima, which essentially sent him flying to a wall, running through it making a human-shaped form. Midnight then pointed her whip towards Kirishima, who was out of bounds, and then to Juvia with a smirk on her face as she concluded the last match of the quarterfinal. Midnight. Ajiro Kirishima is out of bounds. Juvia locks her wins. The crowd cheered loudly as Juvia jumped around in joy before she rushed towards Class 1A balcony, hoping to get praised by her beloved boyfriend, while Kirishima seemed to be walking out of the wall a little hurt but not much to affect to have him sleep in recovery girl office. He seemed a little dejected to say the least, but motivated to get stronger even more than before. No one POV. Location. Class 1A stand. Kaminari, shudder, I forgot that she can be quite scary. The female of Class 1A seemed to be quite proud of their fellow female friend for winning a match against a fighter who was considered to be part of the top 10 in class, as Juvia walked in rocketing towards Gray, who had his arm open expecting her as she wrapped her arms and legs on Gray. Juvia. Can Juvia get a reward from Gray-sama? Gray, chuckle, of course. Juvia then leaned on Gray before she started kissing Gray as she wrapped arms around Gray's neck while Gray wrapped his arm around her waist as she started licking his lower lip trying to gain access, which he let her easily as she roamed her tongue around Gray's mouth before she started wrestling with Gray's tongue trying to gain dominance, but she was outmatched before she separated, looking with a smug expression on the jealousy look from the other female classmate. Juvia then stick her tongue out, which managed to rile some of the jealous female of Class 1A and surprisingly Class 1B before she got comfortable in Gray's embrace as they sat down waiting to hear what will happen next, with both Yukiko and Ultier taking a seat next to Gray, amused with Juvia's childish behavior. Present mic. Now that concludes the quarterfinal. We have 30 minutes break before we get into the semifinal. The board then changed, showing the matches that will take place in the semifinal, which surprised everyone but also excited them, as the semifinal are between one of the best fighters in the first year, although some were disappointed with how some couldn't advance due to bad luck, like Yukiko Fullbuster. Semifinal. Match 1. Fumikage Tokiyami vs Gray Fullbuster. Match 2. Juvia Loxer vs Ultier Fullbuster. No one POV. Location. Private locker room. The quarter-final was finally over, and thankfully the remaining fighters, which consisted of Gray Fullbuster, Ultier Fullbuster, Juvia Loxer and Fumikage Tokiyami, were given a 30-minute break to prepare themselves mentally for the semifinals. That's why we could see Gray sitting in one of the private lockers that were reserved for him, and sitting around him was his family. Everyone could see from Yukiko's facial expression that she was obviously disappointed because she was unable to proceed to the semifinals. She knew that her magic has its limit and that it was bad luck that she was paired against Gray, who happened to have many aces in his sleeve, so she never stood a chance to begin with, but her defeat was not the main problem of her disappointment. Yukiko my dear, you might not have proceeded to the semifinals as you wished, but you did very good for your first year here. Yukiko, sigh, mother. Defeat is just merely a reminder that I have still a lot to learn, but I'm disappointed about the fact that people think so low of me. Stayed quiet. She knew that Yukiko had her pride damaged after the crowd pretty much started booing Gray for not holding back in his fight against Yukiko and treating her as a warrior like any other participant. It left a bitter taste in Yukiko's mouth. Silver, chuckle, Yukiko, that's how life works. Me and my sister had faced this kind of treatment when we were still teens. Of course at the beginning we were quite angry, and let's just say your mother had sent multiple people to the hospital for just merely looking down on her. Everyone in the room sweat dropped while blushed in embarrassment at having her past come to light as she scratched the back of her head as remembering how many people she beat for just making a comment about her being a female. Gray. Just ignore them, Yukiko, they are merely a pests. If you think every time about people's opinion you will never be able to grow stronger. You're not under any obligation to please them. If they don't like you then they can merely fuck off. Silver seemed to nod proudly at his son's comment while smiled at seeing Gray trying to be supportive in his own way. Of course. Ultier. Agreed. At the end of the day there are people who support you and those who are against you. The point in all of this is that you done well, and that's what matters here, so let's work hard so next year you could reach the semifinals, maybe even the finals if you train hard, of course. Yukiko seemed to smile at seeing how her family are supporting her and not judging her at all as she nodded her head, feeling a weight had been lifted off her shoulder as she looked at Gray, Ultier and Juvia. Yukiko. Thank you, and also sorry for wasting your time on me. Juvia. Juvia don't have problem with helping a fellow friend. Ultier. We're sisters, Yukiko, your well-being is much important than those silly matches. Gray, smile, agreed. Silver then look at the clock to see that only 10 minutes are left before the semifinal start as stand up on his feet along with Silver. The semifinal should start in 10 minutes. Make sure to prepare yourself and just know we're rooting for the three of you. Give it your all and just know we're proud of all of you. Now we'll be taking our leave. The children seemed to nod as Silver and Yukiko left the locker room, leaving Gray, Ultier and Juvia to prepare themselves for their matches. No one POV. Location. Arena. We could see Present Mike getting ready to announce the start of the semifinals. Next to him was Aizawa, who seemed to have gotten out of his sleeping bag and was equally ready to see the semifinals, where the best of the best would clash against each other in order to prove who was the strongest first year. Present Mike then exhaled some air as he then grabbed the mic. His expression showed excitement more than anything as the semifinal is about to start, and this is where fights get heated up. Present Mike. Are you ready? Crowd, cheer, yeah. Present Mike. It has been a long day and we are reaching the end of the sports festival, and right now we're seeing 4 powerful students WHO are competing over the finals, and they all are from Class 1A. The crowd cheered once more as Class 1A has proven that they are the best hero class in UA. Obviously Class 1B were displeased with that fact, but a lot of them had accepted it, but some had hard time swallowing it. Present Mike. Now to start the first match in the semifinals, we have on our right side the one person WHO had been dominating his matches and still have more up his sleeve, the Ice Prince, Gray Fullbuster. The crowd cheered loudly, but more so the female population at seeing the man that had captured their hearts walk in with a small smile on his face as he stood up in the arena waiting for his opponent. Present Mike. Now on our left side we have a student's WHO had proven to be equally powerful with his trusted shadowy friend, the Prince of Shadow, Fumikage Tokiyami. Tokiyami walked in calmly, although everyone could see the displeasure in Dark Shadow face at being referred as shadowy friend, which he found ridiculous, but he kept quiet mainly because his host was given a cool title. Tokiyami then stood in front of Gray. Both had neutral look on their faces, but any experienced heroes could see the respect that both students have for one another. Tokiyami. I wish you the best of luck, my friend. Gray, nod, may the best win. Tokiyami. Agreed. Midnight seemed to squeal in delight at seeing the sportsmanship between the two fighters, but she knew she have a job to do and she could see that the two fighters are ready to duke it out. Midnight. Are both fighters ready? Both Gray and Tokiyami didn't answer orally, instead they nod their head, their eyes not leaving each other for a second, as just letting your guard down if just for a second could decide the fight. Midnight. Begin. Gray, having had observed Tokiyami fights, knew the man patterns of fighting, and true enough, like he expected, Tokiyami released Dark Shadow towards him, hoping to end the fight quickly as possible as to not give Gray a chance to fight back. Tokiyami. Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow. Aye sir. Dark Shadow then rushed towards Gray at high speed, knowing that Gray was not to be underestimated, as Gray then put his hand together and quickly formed a shield made purely out of ice at the last second, knowing how fast the dark entity could maneuver out of the way. Gray. Ice make. Shield. Just like expected, Dark Shadow didn't have time to maneuver out of the way before he hit his head on the ice, but his strength was no joke either, as the ice had a large crack on it. Taking this opportunity, Gray decided to get rid of Dark Shadow before he returned to his host body. Gray. Ice make. Ice wall. Despite the name of the attack, the result was unexpected to the crowd, as instead of creating an ice wall, it started to freeze the opponent rather than impaling them. It was obvious that the attack was derived from one of Gray attack, Ice make. Geyser. Dark Shadow taken off guard, his body started to freeze over, trying to free himself, but it was futile as the ice progress was quite fast, not allowing Dark Shadow to retaliate quickly. Taking this chance that Tokiyami was taken aback that Dark Shadow was temporarily defeated made him drop his guard quickly, which Gray capitalized on. Gray. Ice make. Knuckle. Several fists, made out of ice, had came from the ground, striking Tokiyami in the stomach, which launched him outside the arena. The ice that served to trap Dark Shadow broke, leaving a cold Dark Shadow, who returned to his host quickly. Midnight, seeing the match had ended, had slammed her whip on the ground, signaling the end of the match. Midnight. Tokiyami is out of bounds. Winner is Gray Fullbuster. The crowd cheered loudly at the display of power and skills that the two students had demonstrated, and while Tokiyami may have not done any significant damage on Gray, but that is because Gray had a versatile quirk which helped him counter a lot of Dark Shadow attacks, the two students had regardless scored point in the pro hero's mind. No one POV. Location. Class 1A stand. Uraraka. Wow, he defeated Tokiyami. Zero. That's scary, Tokiyami couldn't even land a scratch on him. Kaminari. How come people like him are so op? Kyoka Jiro face-palmed at Kaminari reaction as she started to think that Kaminari is really an idiot. Jiro. You moron, were you even listening to what Fullbuster had said in the classroom before? Kaminari give her a dumb look, not understanding what she's trying to say, which made everyone look at him with shock and slight annoyance as they wondered how an idiot like him managed to get into the hero course, much less 1A. Yukiko. Gray's skills didn't come from him relaxing on the couch and doing nothing. Gray had trained the hardest out of any of us. Uraraka worried, but why would he go that far? Ojiro. Can't you see it's a matter of pride? Gray has ambition and dreams like any of us, and he is working hard to achieve it. Hiroshima, manly tears. It's like the old say, no pain no gain. Graybro is so manly. Ultier nod, agreed. You see, if Gray hadn't trained like he did, Dark Shadow could have ran through his ice shield with ease. Yukiko. Besides, in order to use high-level attack he need to be able to withstand cold temperature, and Gray had done that. I won't go into details about his training, but you should get the gist. Class 1A seem to understand as they look at Gray with respect in their eyes, seeing someone who isn't just talk, someone who worked hard for his strength. No one POV. Location. Arena. Present mic. The first match was something else as Gray Fullbuster was untouchable, but now we start the final match. In the semifinal we have on our right side the Queen of Time. ULTEARFULLBUSTER. The crowd cheered loudly, but more so the male population at seeing the woman that had captured their hearts walk in with a neutral look on her face as she stood up in the arena waiting for her opponent. Present mic. Now on our left side we have the Water Queen of Class 1A, Juvia Loxer. Juvia walked in with excitement bubbling on her face, but she knew she didn't stand a chance against Ultier, but she is going to give it her all for both of them. Ultier. Good luck, Juvia, give it your all in this fight. Juvia. Juvia agrees to that, and Juvia wants you not to hold back at all. Ultier seemed to nod, agreeing that Juvia also has her pride and want to prove to everyone that she's not weak. Midnight. Are both fighters ready? Both Juvia and Ultier didn't answer orally, instead they nod their head, their eyes not leaving each other for a second, as just letting your guard down if just for a second could decide the fight. Midnight. Begin. Juvia. Sierra. Juvia understood more than anyone how much OP ulti abilities is, so knowing that speed is what matters in this fight, she then used one of her spells on conjunction with Water Body to prevent from any physical attack to harm her before she rushed towards Ultir at fast speed. Ultir seemed to smile at the effort that Juvia displayed in trying to put up a good fight, even though she knew more than anyone that she can't win, but it was futile. Ultir, smile, I admire your dedication, but that's not enough. Bring her hand up. Juvia attack appeared to be cancelled in the eyes of the others, but those who were experiences and those who knows Ultir to certain degree knew that she rewind the attack back, which is why it appeared to have the attack cancelled. Juvia then tried to attack Ultir by a punch, but Ultir was an experienced hand-to-hand fighter as she grabbed Juvia's hand before she quickly wrapped both her legs around Juvia's neck before she used her legs muscles to swing Juvia in circle before throwing her away, which was close to the finish line. No one POV. Location. Pro Heroes. We could see a woman with chin-length blonde hair, which she wears swept back with a headband, a long fringe over the right side of her face, covering her eye. She has thin, yellow, inward-tilting eyes with slit pupils and notably sharp teeth, these aspects purposefully reptilian as a reference to her quirk. Her hero costume consists of a dark red, traditional kippah with a pale green scale trim around her shoulders, which seems to only be slit on the left side, with yellow claw patterns on the bottom and smaller ones around her neck. She wears knee-high boots and a strap around her exposed thigh. She wears long, almost sleeve-like white gloves that nearly reach her shoulders, with higher tabs on the outer sides, and they expose her hands from the wrist. She wears a matching green headband with 4 large, pale purple claws attached, covering the right side of her face, and a set of small black dragon wings protrude from the back of her head, with a number of gold-spiked cartilage piercings decorating her left ear. That would be the number 9 pro heroine known as Dragoon Hero, Yuki, as she watched with mild interest at the fight before she looked next to her to a grinning woman with athletic build with muscular arms and legs, who stands slightly below average height. Rumi has dark skin, red eyes which are tilted slightly inwards, long eyelashes, and straight white hair reaching down past her waist. On her head, she has a pair of long white rabbit ears pointing upwards with a slight crook. Along with these, she also has a white round tail, which gives her overall design a definite resemblance to an albino rabbit. Her hero costume consists of a sleeveless white leotard with dark purple trim around her shoulders and waist, a wide, yellow crescent moon design over her chest, and 2 thick metal plates on her midriff. She wears purple thigh-high boots to complement her leotard, with more plating around the heel and toe areas, making her feet look like those of a rabbit. She also has a pair of thick white gloves on her hands with long cuffs, sporting small triangular protrusions around their edges. That would be the number 5 pro heroine, also known as the Rabbit Hero, Mirko. Mirko, grin, someone is not skipping leg day, I already like her. Yuki, roll her eyes, of course you would. Mirko. I might give her an offer for internship. Yuki looked surprised at that as she looked at her best friend, as she knew that Mirko was not one to like to have sidekicks, considering them as hindrance and slow and preferred working alone. That's why she never had an agency and was always on the move from city to another city. Yuki. That's a surprise, you were never a person to like working with others. Mirko. Ryoko, I hate working with others because most of them can't either keep up with my intense training or they're too slow, and in this hero world every second matters. That's why you need to be fast to react whenever there is call for help and be the first one in the battlefield. Yuki nod in understanding as she then looked to her friend once more, whose eye shifted towards Gray, who was sitting in the class 1A stand. Mirko. As for that handsome Gray Fullbuster, he's also very good. I could see that he's quite skilled and fast to react, that he managed to subdue his classmate with bird face without even getting a scratch. Yuki. I have to agree, his quirk is quite versatile and have many uses for it, but what makes him special than any other students is that he worked for his strength. The fact that he is not bothered by the cold means that he trained for it. Mirko. I agree, he's not like all those other male with big ego, not to mention the fact that he didn't hold back on his fight against Yukiko Fullbuster despite their relationship. Prove my point that he respects her as a warrior, and that's what I like. No one POV. Location. Arena. While Juvia was preventing herself from getting out of bounds, she then prepared one of her spells hoping to get Ultir off guard. Juvia. Water Ray. Juvia then proceeded to concentrate a beam of water from her hand before releasing it towards Altair at a fast speed, hoping to catch the woman off guard, but that didn't work as the attack was reversed when Altair rewound the attack. Altair. As much as I want to prolong this fight even longer, this ends here. Flash forward. Altair then started to produce numerous copies of their orbs in the air that all represent future possibilities of their orb's path, compresses all their futures, and redirects them all at Juvia, who had a pale face realizing what is going to happen, and sadly she didn't have time nor the will to fight back, knowing that she had lost fair and square. The attack did its job by knocking Juvia out as she was exhausted, and receiving such a powerful attack did its job. Midnight then slammed her whip on the ground, signaling the end of the match. Midnight. Winner by knockout, Altair Fullbuster. The crowd cheered loudly at the display of power and skills, and now the semifinal has come to an end. Present Mike seemed to grip his fist in excitement as he closed his eyes before shouting. Present Mike. This finally concludes the semifinals of the sports festival, and we're now moving on to the finals as both power couple are going to duke it out for the first place medal. The crowd cheered once more and loudly then before, as both fighters were left to prepare themselves for their final showdown to determine who was going to get the first place medal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.